Hi, I'm Tom.
I'm Matty.
And I'm Lewis.
This is the Wigan Way, Wigan's favourite rugby league podcast.
He'll put you in his trap, 'cause he's a union man. He's got it all figured out. He won't care what you think, 'cause he's a northern man. He's allowed to speak his
So thank you for joining us again. Some difficult results this week, but before we get into all of that and the rugby talk, how have we been, lads? It's been a week.
Crap. We lost to Wakefield and we conceded 27 points.
Yeah.
I don't think any of us can disagree with you there, Lewis.
England won the test match though. That was good. That was entertaining. That put a smile back on my face on Sunday.
It didn't make me feel much better Saturday though.
Well, no.
Not a great game, was it? Let's be honest. So, in fact, let's get into it and get it over and done with.
Do you know what I think's to blame for this? Us. We've been slagging off Wakefield week by week on this podcast, and they've come back to bite us because they've ended up beating us, and karma has come back and bitten us on our backside, fellas.
That was just after we started giving them some credit though.
We did nickname one of our episodes the Wakey Way.
Yeah, and then we gave them credit last week because they beat, who did they beat last week? Leeds?
No, I beat Leeds first. They won last week, and then they've won again today, and
Salford.
yeah.
They battered Salford last week, didn't they?
And let's be honest, it has put some excitement into the bottom of the table with
Oh, yeah.
Castle and Wakefield
It has
come
to
up
be.
now.
And Huddersfield are only 2 points ahead of Waking, and they've got to play next. So, if we'll talk about it later when we do our predictions. But actually, by accident, Super League have come up with some pretty tasty matchups for this week. They all look incredible. They're all
they're all
they could
really
all
good
be
picks this
decided
week.
by a point or fewer than 6 points. So, yeah, I think Huddersfield aren't out of it yet. They'll be looking over the shoulders.
But let's go through the result. It was 27-26 after Golden Point to Wakefield. It's 12-12 at half time. Tries for Wakefield were Jai Whitbread, Renato Tony, Lee Kershaw and Tom Lynham. Tries for Wigan from Toby King, Liam Marshall, 2 from Field and 1 from French. Will Dagger kicked the drop goal to win the game in extra time. Now,
And did he kick 6 goals?
he kicked 5, Harry Smith kicked 3.
5-3. I thought it was 6-4, but yeah, 5-3 makes sense.
It wasn't a good performance, generally. I think we played well for a set here and there, and
We did some nice things, but it was like individual moments, weren't it? Like
What?
French going through that gap, or Field returning that kick, or Nsemba's barnstorming run. It was individuals, really.
moments of brilliance. And I
There
do
was no-
think there was a couple of sets where we went really direct at them, and we went shot 1, shot 2, shot 3, and we really marched our way downfield. And I thought, right, we've gone back to playing basic rugby, brilliant.
But it was them that was doing the marching.
But then they'd take us back downfield, and we just didn't do it again.
When you lose Havard in the first few minutes, that was always going to be a worry. Like, we were prop short, and our best prop short.
Didn't get taken off injured again, have I?
7 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't
He's
good.
out for 4 weeks by the sounds of it, from what Mike Pete said today.
Yeah.
Which is a real worry. We'll talk about the squad for Friday's game at the end of this episode. But
I wasn't at the game. I've watched the highlights a couple of times back, and I think what Matty Pete's going to be disappointed with, obviously conceding 27 points is not good. Conceding 27 points to the side that sits bottom of the table isn't good. But also, we've just watched the highlights again before we've started recording. When you look at the tries, the first one is a shift left to right from Wakefield, which is a shift, but there's nothing too complicated going on. They're just simply going out the back. We rush up for trying to solve a problem that's not there instead of sliding across. They end up getting a 2-on-1 because someone shot out a line. The wingers held back and not gone with him, and it caused problems.
it leaves Harry Smith with no chance.
The sort
No
of thing we
chance.
don't usually fall for.
Exactly. So that's not good. There was an intercept try. Bevan French lobbed a face, but it got intercepted. The prop for Wakefield, a Tony, is it? Crashed over just in a simple crash ball.
Yeah,
One
after
try-
we've done, let's just point out,
And
we've done really well to hold up the first attempt. They just go one pass from the scrum and a Tony goes in.
And then there was
Scott.
Whitbread's try.
Where
Which we didn't defuse the kick, did we?
From
We-
defusing the kick,
There was
yeah.
a hard ball went up and we couldn't defuse it. So when you actually look at them, not just the 27 points, but the manner in which those 27 points were conceded, it's not good enough, is it?
there's not a try where you go, I couldn't do anything about that. You just think you take the last.
I think
try,
the
for example.
Atoni one was probably the closest to that because
Yeah.
we committed so many bodies to stopping Fifita the tackle before.
Yeah, and
that-
that's good play. But
and
I
we
still
sp- we-
think
yeah,
we,
we
should hold him
spoke-
up. We still get 3 men into that tackle.
We spoke about that on the Warrington Cup game with Bullock. Like when you've got bodies just flying everywhere and we're defending our line scrambling, if they get it right, we're going to number up wrong out because we can't do it fast enough. So I think the Atoni one aside, I can deal with that. I can deal with crashing over after we've committed so many men to the tackle previous. But the other tries, like you mentioned, the big one for me is the Whitbread try. I can get the move across. I can get the intercept. These things happen. We scored our fair share of those. But the Whitbread try to mess up that kick at the back between the two of them. and not be
Jarfield
able-
won't do that again.
Not be able to defuse it. It was very unusual.
When it happened, I just looked round and went, that won't happen again. He tried so hard to get there on the full.
Should have just let it bounce.
Realised that he wasn't getting there. But with his momentum, and he is that quick, that you can't stop him. The ball almost gets stuck underneath him. With that getting stuck underneath him, he ends up almost standing on it, can't get to the right place. And the ball just ends up at a Wakefield hand. They pass it on and score. Fair play to them for putting the kick pressure on. But Fields should, one, never make that mistake, and I don't ever think he'll make it again. Because I've seen in the past where he goes and he actually commits to a slide almost and catches it on the slide.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to do that at the time.
There was just a bit of hesitation between Marshall and Field because, I mean, we see it all the time in cricket when two people hesitate and they get stuck in the middle and then they go. You never make it, do you?
No, you can never catch. Once you lose that,
Its momentum stopped to
That's
zero
what
and then
it's
you've got to go again. You never make it then. So I think that was the problem. It just wasn't confident enough. And you think about it, we score some tries from opposition kicks, don't we? We scored quite a few. We scored one in this game from an opposition kick where it was a bit of a nothing kick. Everyone had been offside, and we just threw an outrageous dummy and went through.
Yeah, it was Jay Field, wasn't it?
And that was Jay Field. That was the best of Field. Yeah.
well, let's talk about that then, because a lot of people seem to criticise our end of play kicks. That on the 4th and 5th tackle we put these kicks into the corner and pin teams in the corner.
Yeah.
But that stops what Jarfield's doing happening to us.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows what's going to happen. We pin him in a corner.
Everyone can be
come out of
onside.
there, everyone's onside. It's controlled. Take the ball away from your own 10 metre line.
You can't criticise putting kicks into corners and challenging teams to go 95 metres.
No,
It's
I
the
agree.
Like, what do you want them to do?
It's
Like,
the-
what kick would you like them to put in if they're not doing that? That's this.
For me, there should be only ever 2 kicks that Harry Smith puts in. He either puts in that absolute spiral bomb, where we go and compete for it, but everyone knows it's coming.
Yeah.
Or we pin him in the corner. We pin him in the corner so well and say, "Come on, come out of there, come and make meters."
That's what you coach to do. 5 and 5. 5 in from the touchline, 5 short of the
Yeah.
try line. Like, that's the perfect. That's what you coach to do. Like,
Exactly.
I also understand that there's no real attacking shape from that, and I am one for shouting just to let them catch it. Set your line 2 yards off them and let them take the ball, and you
Wrap
just
it up.
defend it.
Yeah.
I am one for that, but I can understand that there's no real creative emphasis with that kick. The issue being that when you do a kick, like I think it was Will Dagger that put it up, he got put under pressure, tries to step, everyone's overran it, they're all offside, they can't touch the ball, they're afraid of giving a penalty away, they can't touch Fields, and suddenly you're running at a defence that hasn't got a clue what's going on. I don't like that uncontrolled chaos. That control. Get
Yeah.
the words right. I don't like that chaos. Anything can happen.
Yeah, yeah.
When we pin teams into a corner and make them work hard to come out, we are much harder to get at.
Yeah.
And I don't think we do it enough. I
It's
don't
like
think-
just the key word that you're using is control. You're controlling the end of your set and you're controlling how they are starting theirs. And
Look
you
at-
then can get your defensive
Look
line
at the
as well.
Warrington Cup game at home. The only kick we put in, there was a couple of bad ones, one from French and one from Smith, where we kicked it dead and give 2 7 tackle sets. Apart from that, we dropped everything 2-3 metres short of the line.
Yeah. Because where can you defend with 12 men? Anywhere but your own try line, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we
You
just
can't
said-
defend your own try line with 12 men, but you can pretty much defend anywhere else.
And when we didn't kick in that game, we pinned them in the. We took a last tackle drive and ended up 2 metres short at line. Go on, 6 tackles, get out of there.
Yeah.
Get 95 metres down and have a go at us. Because we're going to back ourselves to defend. I actually don't think we do it enough. You look at how well Saints do it, where they're getting that arm wrestle for a really, really long period of time. I'd like to see us go again.
Yeah.
And teams that are lower in the league, you've almost got to overdo it for, because they want the ball to be thrown around. Because it's either going to be everything goes right or everything goes wrong. And in this game, things went wrong.
Yeah.
For me, you've just got to have that bravery for when things start going wrong to say, right, we're going to go boring again. We're going to beat you down the middle. We're going to pin you in the corners. We're going to make you come out and wait for you to make a mistake. And I don't think we did that enough in this game. I don't think we stuck in the battle long enough.
Mm.
No, I'd agree. It was a. I've seen a couple of people blaming a couple of things. I've seen, like saying they're kicking, but goal kicking, people that had to go out again, saying we've lost
Yeah.
to goal kicking. I don't. You can see 27 points. It's not your goal kicking that's the problem.
Yeah.
Like we said, we didn't again, not
He
to go
kicked-
back, but the
He
manner in which we could
kicked,
see.
yeah,
it
he
was
kicked
bad.
one to put us in front, 26-24, which was a real pressure, difficult kick. He missed the one right on the touchline when King
On the other
scored.
side.
Well, it's the toughest kick for a left-footed kicker. It was the last green blade of grass, and he missed it.
But he did have a bad miss.
And he had a bad miss off Marshall's try. Yeah, Marshall's try where he should have kicked that one. So he missed one that he should have kicked. But you're going against Dagger, who kicks absolutely everything every week
But
from anywhere on the pitch.
concede 26 points in normal time.
Yeah,
In reality, you don't deserve to win.
that's true.
No.
That's true.
We should not be conceding more than 20 points.
And we've had this in the past. We lost there last year. We lose there quite a lot. If they do go down, I can't wait to not go there next year because we always seem to get beat. But it's a case of the fans were up for it now after a couple of good wins. The forwards have terrorised us in the past, and they did again. Fifita was fantastic again. Atoni was fantastic again.
Two big bodies, then, aren't they?
Whitbread
Fifita and Atoni.
Whitbread was incredible. Batty was solid. The only one who struggled was Proctor, and he was the big money signing. This is the weird thing: like Proctor was the big money signing, meant to transform the pack, and actually he's not doing as many minutes as Fifita and Atoni. They brought out to retirement.
I've heard a lot of things from a few weeks back about potentially changing the lineup and bringing Custer or Hampshire in at the halves because Field and French isn't working.
You drop your player of the month for
And drop your player of the month in Miski,
Miski.
and then play one of them in the centres. Was one thing I heard.
No.
I would stick. I would stick with what we're doing.
You stick with it, or you move, or you swap Field and French again. Those are the only two options realistically.
They're saying it's not working, but is that really true?
I don't know.
Do you know what I mean? I don't understand that this week, obviously, yeah, we've lost one, but we could do.
They still scored 3 tries between them. Though.
That's what I mean. They've scored 3 tries between them. We've been Warrington in the quarter final with 12 men playing that system. You know, we could play that same system, put Wardle back in for Thornley.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know Haggard's going to be out, but KPP is
he's back.
He's back in that. So you make a couple of changes.
Like
a couple
Ellis is
more.
back as well for Havard, to be honest.
Ellis is coming
Ellis
back.
is
in.
back,
So
yeah.
you know, I don't think there's been enough games yet to say it's not working.
I agree.
You've got to give it time for me.
I do think he abandoned the field at 1 French at 16 early, after just one bad game against Catalan, and it did seem to work at Lee. But he sees more than we do, and clearly this is the system he wants to go with. So I would definitely keep it. Like I said last week, I feel like obviously Field defends better at fullback, and he returns kicks better at fullback, and he backs up better at fullback. But there's nothing stopping you from using Shorrocks as an extra ball player and just having basically 2 fullbacks.
I think
when
you,
you're attacking.
you can't go changing it now because if you've got to change it now, you're in a very bad position for me.
You've got a cup semi-final.
We've got a cup semi-final coming up. We've got coming towards the end of the league now. Our next league games we've got
Warrington.
Wyre and Lee
Yeah.
in the league, which are going to be big games against teams at the top. Obviously, Lee being the informed team at the minute.
Yeah.
semi-final like it's in a cup, you don't want to be changing your squad but try and find your best 1 to 13.
No,
This should be known at this stage in the season.
When Wakefield beat Salford last week, I said like any team that's losing to them will be looking at themselves. I think we're in a position here where we might be overdoing it and trying to look for solutions where there isn't one. There isn't a player who will walk off who said they had a good performance.
No.
And I mean that. I don't think there's anyone that could actually walk off and say, yeah, I know we've lost, but I play all right.
And I'll say again, let's cool it on December. He was great again,
But he was goosed.
he was done by the time we subbed him off for 5 minutes to go, and you said, "Oh no, that's our last sub. Why are we subbing him off?" And I said, "Look at him," and he could not move because he'd put a lot into it. He's a teenager. He's not getting regular reserve games because there aren't regular reserve games. You have to be so careful with him, and he is a talent. And he
Made a
is
lovely break, didn't he, off a short ball?
that was
off Harry
exceptional,
Smith. It was
absolutely exceptional flat ball.
I love those short balls.
Perfect line.
But-
It was exceptional, and he is a talent, a real talent.
One man
But he
I-
needs to be managed carefully.
A couple of people I want to mention. I've got to say Morgan Smith is putting another absolute shift.
He always does.
He started off at 13. We obviously lose Havard early on, and he then goes in and fills in a prop.
Yeah,
He played 80 minutes.
because Singleton and Mago obviously don't do an immense amount of minutes.
But then Joe Shorrocks as well started off in the second row. He then practically played 60, 65 minutes at loose forward.
Yeah,
And then when they brought December off, went back to the second row. Smithies went back to 13. They have put an absolutely incredible shift in a game where we were missing a prop that was going to do long minutes. If you were going to back anyone to do long minutes, it was going to be Ethan Havard.
and yet Shorrocks with the moment on the hooter that you'll want to forget. Touching the kicker, it's no different to every kick ever. It feels like it was an audacious dive. Ronaldo would have been proud of that dive from Will Dagger.
My only annoyance with that is he gives him the chance to.
Oh, absolutely. He gives him the chance to dive.
At the point that he gets there,
It was a nothing kick.
He either just has to wrap his arms around him and hold him like a tackle,
Yeah.
or not touch him.
Look, he's 40 metres out from his own line kicking it. Jayfield caught it right in front of us comfortably. And I was looking at the ball. I've only seen this back on replay. I was watching the ball and I was thinking, catch this, Jay, and we've won. Because we knew there was 30 seconds left. Catch this, Jay, and we've won. He catches it, I breathe a sigh of relief. Then I see the ref blowing for a penalty and I see the kicker on the floor, and I thought at that point, that's really stupid to hit the guy late. I still think that. He didn't really hit him that late and he didn't hit him hard at all.
I just think you can't touch him.
But you've given him a chance to dive. You've given him a chance to give a penalty. The one that is more egregious to me is the knock-on in extra time.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of
Because
that decision at
Because
all.
Thornley has the ball in two hands. He isn't trying to promote the ball. He isn't trying to offload. He's just trying to stand up. And Dagger quite literally kicks it out of his
He needs
grasp.
it out to his arm.
Thornley's
No,
got. It would have been in football if that happened to the goalkeeper. It would have been a free kick.
I get the point that Will Dagger is allowed to go back to marker.
But it's not a loose carry.
But it's not a loose carry, and what he can't do, in my opinion, and I don't know the rules. I'm not a ref, and I never claim to be. But you can't go through the ruck.
You can't just kick the
That's
ball
a ruck
out.
interference
It's
for me.
interference.
My thing with this is, for me, I don't know if this is true, there seems to be, whenever the ball goes onto the floor from a tackle, there seems to only be really, the ref's only got two options. Blow a penalty, I've got to blow a knock-on.
Yeah.
What is wrong with just saying,
Play the ball.
that was an accident, pick it up and play it, the tackle's
I
complete.
agree. I completely agree.
I don't get, do you know what, if you don't think it's a knock-on, you don't think it's a penalty, because you have got bodies,
But I
you
don't
don't
think
the floor, and if he stands up, he knocks it with his knee, on accident, or whatever, it's not a rip, one was just saying, it was an accident, it wasn't meant to,
Yeah.
no team's disadvantage, go get the ball and play it there, it's
Exactly.
not
I agree. I completely
There's-
agree with you.
why
Because if
don't we
he tried to pass it
But for me, it is a penalty.
after he's called held, then he would just go back to the play of the ball. But I don't know, Tom, because
for me, it is a penalty.
I get it. He didn't mean to rip it. You would be stupid to mean to rip it at that stage because we were making.
Can't go through the ruck.
We were
If he
coming
was
off
lying
our
on the
own
floor-
line.
If he was lying on the floor to the side of it and rolled into him, it'd be a penalty.
You know what though?
He's got up and chose to go across him.
I know what you mean. That decision was a stinker, and we should have had the ball. We should have had a penalty on halfway and had the ball back on halfway. But having said that, I do think we got away with one with the Fafita try that he gave no try just before half time. I'd like to have seen that closer up because I haven't.
Yeah, I've not seen that again,
I'm
I'll be
pretty sure
honest.
it was stolen 1-on-1 and Fifita caught it and touched it down and he said it was a forward pass or a knock on or something. That was a 50-50 that went our way.
You get them and you don't get them.
The thing is, sorry, going back to that thing about Dagger and the interference to play the ball, I feel like the refs are under more pressure to give the knock on. Because if they're not 100% sure, the knock on is the default option.
Yeah.
If they don't
Yeah.
think it's a penalty, they go, well, I have to give a knock on because the ball's on the floor. So if I don't think it's a penalty, or I don't know, if I don't know, I've got to give knock on. That's the default option. That's the me back up type thing, me insurance. I'll go in, if in doubt, knock on. Whereas I think actually if you say, you know, well actually if I'm in doubt, if I don't know if it's a knock on, I don't know if it's a penalty, I don't go back and just play the ball.
Well,
I don't. Do you know what I mean? I feel like it'll make the refs life a bit easier. They don't have to give one or the other.
I'll slightly change that. There is a very clear solution to this. Having a video ref at every game at the beginning of the
Captain's
Challenge.
challenge would have given us the ball on halfway.
Assuming we had it left.
Yeah.
And if we don't have it left, it's Wigan's fault.
It's
for
our fault
wasting
for
it.
wasting it, yeah, exactly. Like it is in cricket.
But
Yeah.
we've actually had a bit discussion on Twitter with Ian Smith, the ex-referee, and he has shown some points because there has been a few other refereeing issues and arguments in the week as well. I fully believe that the ref of the game, who was the ref again? Sorry,
Griffiths.
He'll be disappointed.
Well, I actually think he took
be-
advice from his touch judge on both the decisions. So I don't know if he will be disappointed. I think the touch judge might be disappointed. I think Griffiths did the right thing by listening to his touch judge.
I just don't think there's any ref in the country, in the world, that wants to not look back at his game and go, oh yeah, I made a mistake.
Oh no, yeah, but I think he'd listen to his touch judge, which is the right thing to do. I think the touch judge got it wrong. But do you notice, because it was a big team that lost and not a big team that won, nobody's calling for this one to have been a draw. When Wigan beat Hull KR in extra time, it was let's scrap goal and point. It
To
achieves
first,
nothing.
the Salmon Salford beat Wakey at the start of the season, wasn't it?
Yeah, we deserve a point each. Hull KR deserve something out of that game. I've not seen anybody mention Wigan deserving anything out of that game.
Yeah. We don't.
But now
But
Hull
no,
KR when we beat it.
Yeah.
we beat it.
Yeah.
So because
Can't
a big
apply every now and
Exactly.
then. It's got to be, yeah.
it's
Yeah, I
hypocritical.
hadn't thought of that.
Because a big
It's a fair
team
point, that might.
Yeah, because a big team has lost out on it. Now all of a sudden it's not a problem anymore. Everyone loves goal and point now. It's exciting. It adds to the game. It adds
It's
to
not
the
saying
drama.
to Leeds when Leeds won.
Yeah.
No one was complaining then.
No one complained then. It added to the drama then. But when Wigan beat Hull KR, that was the same weekend.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Hull KR deserve a point. No, they don't.
I hadn't thought
If
of
that's
that,
the
to be
rule,
honest.
that's the rule.
Last thing before, because I think we'll end up wrapping this bit up in a second. This result is reminding me of going back to like what we were saying before about Matty. You had mentioned it's like a bit of a bogey ground. We tend to lose there quite a lot. After the Hull FC game,
Yeah.
that's when we played Hull FC at Hull FC on a Thursday night. I think we probably felt a bit similar to what we do now,
Yeah.
but we bounced back.
Yeah.
Got a couple of wins, got to the South Alder Cup, so I don't think... It's a bit like, I remember you saying, Matty, when we played Hull FC away, you said we always lose there. And it seems a bit like this at the minute now. We know Wakefield away can be a bit of a bogey ground. Not just for us, but for some big... When Saints have had their years of dominance, they've lost to Wakefield away as well. So I don't think, you know...
They're scrapping for every point
we can-
as well. It's different.
Exactly, and they've just come off a win. There was all that to consider. If we can go now on Friday, which we'll get into in a bit, if we can go on Friday and beat Warrington,
The response.
the response is the most important thing. I don't think it's going to derail our season.
Win the next two and nobody cares about this one.
Exactly.
Well, we had a conversation actually leaving Wakefield about how often do we get beat by the side that's near the bottom of the table.
They're scrapping for everything. It happens
We
in every
always
sport.
seem to slip up. Whether that's something that we can look into.
It happens in every sport. Your team, it's
Just look at
natural.
who City lose to all
It's
the time.
natural complacency. Natural. It's impossible to guard against. The best teams are the ones that beat the worst teams consistently. There's team like Arsenal who could get up for any game, but they'll lose to bottom of the league because it's natural that you are complacent. It's human nature.
Yeah.
It's human and Wakefield are scrapping for every single point, every single game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was disappointing, but we go again next week.
Interesting top 6 race, interesting top
Yeah.
4 race, interesting top 2 race, interesting bottom race. You know,
Yeah, everything seems to be
Keep
just...
saying every week.
Best Super League season
Good
for a long,
season,
long
Super
time.
League.
Well, that's the thing we keep hearing. Do you think it... I'll leave the question before we go. I'll let you answer it later on. Do you think it's the best Super League season for a while because of the quality? Or everyone's very, very similar? If that makes sense. I I question whether the quality is as good as it's been in the last few years.
I think we've got some real quality players.
I think so. I think qualities. I think those things go hand in hand. I think you've got. Is this possibly the best Wigan side we've seen compared to Wigan side in Grand Final? Possibly not, but I think I always use Salford as the example. The Salford have definitely improved in quality.
Hull KR are
definitely improved in quality.
I say it's a better side.
In years gone by.
It's probably even.
I
think the Saints side that won 4 in a row and this one are pretty even. I think Wigan's side of the last few years aren't as good as the one we've currently got. Warrington have got their best side for a few years. Salford have got their best side for a number of years.
I think since they've been Super League.
Both Hull teams probably better than they've been for a long time. On paper, Huddersfield have, but it's not worked out, as we've spoken about every week. Even like Cass and Wakefield have got some quality players on show.
And Lee are producing good quality week
And
in,
Lee
week out.
have got an incredible squad and really gelled. So yeah, it's been. I think in terms of quality, I think it has been a quality season, and I think it's been
competitive.
quite an even season. Yeah,
I always worry when people say that we want a competitive league, that it can affect the quality, because you can get a competitive game at any standard. But I do agree that the quality is at a very, very good standard.
what
And
you'd
it's
say
competitive.
what you'd call those medium teams, those mid-table
Yeah.
teams, have all improved.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I'm quite happy with where the league is.
I think it's in
I
a
just
place,
thought- I just
especially
thought
with
we'd keep momentum
with a
up.
broadcasting deal coming up. It's a perfect time for it to be this
Yeah.
good. And the cup's been good as well this year.
Well, that wraps up Wigan Wakefield. Not a topic that we wanted to talk about for too long, for obvious reasons. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back in a minute. Thank you. So we're going to start off looking at round 18 of Super League. It was an interesting round with a few shock results, really.
Well, 5
Yeah.
shock results.
5 shock results and one
Five-
that we probably expected.
5 out of the 6 games were won by the lower ranked team.
Yeah, so yeah, I hadn't even noticed that.
And the only exception we'll talk about first, the newly promoted side.
Yeah.
How unusual is that? You wouldn't have got any good odds on that at the start of the season. 5 out of 6 games won by the lower ranked team, and the only exception being Lee, the newly promoted side.
The newly
The
promoted
only
side.
ones that won.
So let's start there then. At the Menderhorse Jungle, it was Castleford versus Lee. Lee winning 34 points to 16. It was 18-12 to Castleford. To Lee at half time.
Yeah.
A game really that was a bit stop-start for Lee. They got off to a flyer. They were 18-0 up in the first 25 minutes. Back end of the second half, Castleford get 2 tries through Widdop and Elliot Wallace. Elliot Wallace then got another try, and in the last 20 minutes, Lee get 2 tries to take it out to 34-16.
Yeah, Lee ran away with it a bit. You know, the other interesting fact about this Super League round, which I forgot, we were the only away team to lose.
Oh,
5 away wins out of 6. It's unusual again.
I don't need any more reason to feel worse about the
Well,
Wakefield
it's-
loss.
well-
Can we stop talking about it?
It happened now. It was part of the Super League round 18.
But I was close to tears. I wasn't. I was just shocked.
No, I tried to leave and you were staring at the pitch. Staring at Will
Hoping
Dagger.
things had changed.
Just
Well,
looking at Will Dagger.
let's go for the try scorers for Lee. Tom Amorn started it off with tries after that from Lamb and Briscoe. After the half time, Charnley got a double. Lamb coming at the end to get his second try of the game.
Yeah, that was a nice one too.
Lee, we keep saying the promoted side, the side that's come up and shocked everyone. It's now at the point where it's not a shock. It isn't a shock anymore, and I don't think we can say that.
I think we're running out of things to say about Lee. They're winning, they're going well. Going to the semi-final of a cup, having a terrific season, obviously, as everyone knows, and it's often something that no one was really expecting of them. And yeah, it's just how far they can keep going now on the the run up to the end of the season and what they're doing. And
It was
I know a
all-
lot of Wigan fans won't like me saying this, obviously the Battle of the Borough and everything like that, but as a newly promoted side, and again, as we've just finished off the last segment talking about a competitive Super League team, like, fair play to you.
They're probably the form side in the comp along with Catalans.
Yeah, I think they are.
I think they are by far and away out by themselves now.
Yeah. I just look at this side and I say, where is the limit? I still wonder whether they could go all the way and win a grand final or a cup. I think there is. At some point, something is going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Well, they're playing Salford next, who have done the double over them
Yeah.
already this year.
I think Lee's test is going to be. Well, it's going to be in the semi-final cup, isn't it?
That's
Because this is
yeah.
the first. What I mean by this, I know. I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but playing for 2 competition league points is different to playing in semi-finals, cup finals, grand finals, or knockout
At the start
playoffs. The big thing that they're going to do, can they win the big games? Have they got that big game experience? Can the players step up and win in the big moments when it counts? Is what the question that's being asked to Lee.
At the start of the year, when they weren't winning games, but they were playing well, it was they're the promoted side. No one expects them to win.
They've got a good squad.
You've got to remember at the start of the year, they lost to Salford on the first game of the season. Lost to Catalans. Beat Hull KR, beat Saints, then lose to Wire, beat Hull FC, lose to Wigan, lose to Salford. So they were 3 from 7, and everyone's saying that's a great start for a promoted side. And losing to Wigan's no big stretch, and losing to Warrington, and losing to Catalans, losing to Salford, that's no big loss. But then suddenly they beat Wakey, beat Leeds, beat Cass, beat Huddersfield.
They beat all the Yorkshire teams, didn't they? Remember that was the start. They went and beat all the Yorkshire teams.
Then they beat Wire, Wakey, Hull. Suddenly they're on a run there of, actually now, this is the promoted side. They're safe. They've got no worries. They're safe. They can't go down. So can they just keep winning?
They've been fantastic.
And you're playing then almost without fear because you're going, well, if we lose... safe anyway. No one expected us to be here.
Yeah, they've got nothing to lose. Their thing is now just keep going, and if it comes to it and you get, this all good things must come to an end. They'll probably do a loss soon, and when it happens, don't just pick yourselves up and you go again. You're doing
it'll just be
more than that's expected of you.
Tom Amon added to his try with 27 tackles, 5 tackle busts, 165 run metres off 16
impressive.
carries.
Very, very impressive. I think you got a team of the week as well, didn't you, this
I
week?
wouldn't be surprised with those numbers.
It's just
10 metres average gain. Very nice.
Sorry, it's just that. Can they go into the semi-final against Saints with that attitude of, we're here to upset the party, and if we lose, we lose. So what? We weren't expected to win. Because if they can take that attitude in, that we're just gonna go and try and beat you, and if we lose, we lose. I think they've got a chance.
I think they just need to go and play their game. Don't go and.
But it's very easy to say that.
Yeah, but I mean,
suddenly when you're playing in a game and it's 6 apiece and you're in a semi-final, do you throw that cutout ball? Do you throw the big step?
That's what I said before. Can they do this in the big games? But I think before the game, the mentality needs to be: we just do what we've been doing every week. We stick to our processes. We stick to our game plan because we know it's upset teams. It's been working for us. But that is the question. You're right. That's what I was saying before. The question that's going to be asked to Lee now is: can you do it in the big games when it matters?
And when they rock up against the Saints in a semi-final, or a Wigan or a Warrington or a Catalans in a big game, and they shut down option A and they shut down option B, can they not panic? Because they've not been in that situation before.
No.
In the Championship last year, they were the dominant side, let's be honest. Now, playing in a game that matters, you don't want to lose, and things aren't going your way, can you keep going? That's my one concern for them.
I completely agree. Like
But-
I said before,
but at the
that's
same
the next
time-
question that Lee's got to answer, isn't it?
At the same time, I'm sat here and I'm chuckling to myself because I never thought I'd be having this conversation in the next 5 years for Lee, let alone this year. I thought it'd take 4 or 5 years for them to get settled and do what Hull KR are now doing. I thought Lee were going to be in that survive this year and then maybe get a 10th next year. The fact that they've gone straight from Championship to Challenge Cup semi-final, competing in the league. If they lose them, does it really matter? They've had such a brilliant season.
Well, the questions they've probably been asking themselves as a club, they come up, and the question they were probably asking was, can we survive? They answered that, yeah, of course you can.
Yeah.
Then it was, well, actually, then can we actually get away from that bottom relegation fight? Well, yeah, they did. They got away from Wakefield and Castleford, who you say, they probably, I know obviously it's changed a bit after this week, but still probably the 2 main teams that are fighting it out down there. Well, then it was, well, then can you challenge for a playoff spot? And they're saying, well, yeah, we can. We're up there. Look at how many wins we've had. So the next question they've got to answer is, well, can you can you do big game scenarios? Can you go and win a semi-final? Can you go and win a final? Can you win your playoff games when it's knockout? You know, if you lose it, that's it. You're not getting to Old Trafford. You're not getting to a grand final. That's the next question they've got to answer, and time will tell.
But very impressive. Cass,
Very impressive.
a bit of a concerning comment from Andy Last at the end of the game of...
He was honest.
What was it that he said? No, it's completely slipped my mind. About, we're happy with that performance. Was it along the lines of we're happy with that performance?
I think he was
and I just thought they need to win. They need to win, and they can't keep shipping 30 plus points.
No, I know.
Because that's a consistent thing. You look at the games that they've lost. They lost 22-0 to Saints, 42-10 to Salford.
They've got to beat Hull this week, really.
Yeah, they beat Leeds, and Leeds still scored 24 points and win by 2. The only one that they've won convincingly is 23-14 to Warrington a couple of weeks ago.
And that was a last minute thing anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They ran away with it in the last minute.
They have to win one of these next 2 games, which is both Hull clubs, then Huddersfield, because they'll be going into that Wakey game the most out of form team possible. I really am worried that they could almost be out of this before the Wakey game. If Wakey win 1, they're in trouble. Let's go on to the next game. Let's go over to Warrington. Warrington versus Salford.
Saints.
Why did I say Salford? I was looking at Saints as well. Absolute shocker from me. 24-20, a game that we all said, it's a really shame that they've got this game on while everyone else is at Wakefield, because I'd have really loved to watch this. And we sat in the car watching the last 10 minutes before we left, because we wanted to know what was going on and we couldn't get the radio to work. We couldn't find someone that was listening to the game. Saints winning 24-20. Tries for Saints was Dodd got 1, Lomax got 1, Percival 1 and Bell 1.
And Tom Brady.
Tom Brady with a couple of tries.
Tom Brady with a couple of tries, especially with that last winning try.
Some questionable forward passes, should we say.
Yeah.
Try scorers for Warrington, there was 2 from Matty Ashton and 1 from Dufty. Ratchford also kicked 2 penalty goals, accounting for the extra try that St Helens got.
I'm looking at run meters again. This is impressive, you know. Paul Vaughan again, 137.
How many did Big Sam do?
He's a big machine. Matt Dufty, 165. Lucas Green, prop off the bench, 10. 10 metres off 2 carries.
It can't have been on for that
Well,
long.
what's the point of picking him then?
Yeah.
10 metres off 2 carries. Just give the lad a reserve game. It's better than that.
There is no reserve game, that's the problem.
There was no Cassiano.
Oh, he didn't play this week, sorry, my mistake.
Dudson made 52.
Saints again, just doing enough to win. They just keep winning these games.
Was it last week they lost to LFC, or was that a couple of weeks ago?
A couple of weeks ago, that.
Was it?
So last week they...
Can't remember last
They
week.
beat Cast. They beat Cast.
They beat Cass. So they've bounced back off the LFC loss on a Thursday, and they've got a
Definitely,
couple of big wins. They've got some wins under the belt.
It's just... Saints are doing what they need to do, but Warrington, they're a team in free fall. I'm looking... 1 win in their last 7.
I don't say they're in free fall because they're going to play us next.
I know. But if you were saying they were the form team, they were the team that was flying. They were... At one point, they were 8 from 8. They then lose 2, win 3, and now they are 1 from the last 7. You look at the last 10 games, they've won 3. That is not a good position to be in. And they've now got George Williams back, which is a massive...
That's going to be a
Back in
big
for
boost.
them.
Well, they
for
think
them.
he's back. He's not 100%.
He's named.
Well, he was
He's
named last week, then he went to Wimbledon and said he wasn't playing. He's named, but Powell said it was touch and go last week, so I don't know. I think he'll play.
I think he would play.
Thinking about Warrington here, they've kept Saints forwards quite quiet, with the exception of Matautia, who signed a new deal this week.
Good signing, that.
But they've kept them quiet. Like they kept Parsi down to 50 odd metres. Delaney only made 40. So Luma Katiskar 65.
They've actually beat him down the
70.
middle, and that was
Yeah,
probably
Matty
the...
Lee's 70. So Walmsley's over 100 as he usually is, but Matauti's over 100 as well. That's it. They've actually dealt with the forwards pretty well. But it's been Hopawati getting... Well, he had a good game, didn't plenty of metres.
I just think that's it. That we were talking about Warrington's pack getting beaten in the last couple of weeks. They fixed that, and now suddenly their outside backs. They ended up with, did Minikin play centre?
Yeah, Thewlis was a bit. He said Thewlis was a bit injured, and he was only good enough he was making the squad, but he wasn't fit enough to play, so he had to put Minikin in. Which is massively.
Vitality played in the half.
It's a massive downgrade for Minikin to be in instead of Thewlis.
Well, your back four then. Your two wingers and two centres are Russell and Ashton, who's now injured. He's out of the squad. And your centres were Minikin and Ratchford.
Yeah, but I don't think Russell's that much of a downgrade, really.
No, I don't, but he's clearly not your starting.
Minikin is, though. I don't want to, you know that, but
they're just not getting this balance right consistently.
they were better this game, though. They could have, and perhaps should have won, if they'd have been smarter in key moments.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but they're not. They're not winning them games. They've not won this game, and you think it was a question mark of whether it was a must-win.
I know, but that game they played against Leeds where they got battered, this was a better performance than that, where he didn't come out the box. This was a better performance than that, definitely.
Paul's going to be disappointed because just remember about the questions Lee will be asking themselves and why will be asking themselves. They need to win against a big team. They've beat Catalan a couple of times, to be fair, in the cup, and I think they played once in the league, haven't they? But when it's come to Wigan and Saints, they've not got a win yet over them. And I feel like that's the bit they'll be saying, actually, well, again, if it comes round.
That takes
So obviously they're out the cup now, when it comes to the playoff, or if we meet this team in a grand final, one of these two teams, can we actually beat these teams?
We
Have
play
got what
them.
it
We
takes?
play them next week.
It takes Powell's record to 0 wins out of 8 against Wigan and St Helens in his Warrington career.
We play them next week, and there's every chance Wigan will be playing that with one eye on the semi-final.
We did that last year, didn't we? We lost against Hull FC. Was that Hull FC?
We'll be playing them with one eye on the semi-final. Completely understandable, and I get it. So even if Warrington win this game next week, you're looking and going, well, they've not played Wigan who were fully on it. The 1 out of 9 games would be when Wigan are prepping for a semi-final.
Yeah.
It doesn't answer loads of questions.
Wigan
You're going
will
to beat
still
Saints, then beat Wigan, and then you go, he's fixed the problem now, he's dealt with it.
Wigan have still been bang up for this game.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
100%, as they should
Especially
be.
after losing last week. They'll want to win this one, get back on the horse before the semi.
But I just don't think it'll answer the questions that Powell will think it will.
Yeah.
Right, then we go over to France. This was a weird time to kick off. It was like 5:30, 6 o'clock, wasn't it?
Saturday, yeah.
On Saturday. But a surprise result. I don't think any of us backed this, did we?
No.
Huddersfield winning 22 points to 14. Tries for Huddersfield. Chris McQueen getting a double. Kevin Aguama getting a try very early on. And
He changed it again. He put Connor at fullback, Nagama and Bibby in the centres, and Halsall came onto the wing. So
yeah.
Noel Price again.
Well, he played in the reserves the day before. I saw that he played in the reserves. With Tuilola here and Ollie Russell in the halves. I like Ollie Russell. I really do.
Yeah.
Reports that Farge apparently is set to sign for Catalans next year.
Yeah, I don't mind that signing. I think it's good. It's good for player and club. I'm surprised Huddersfield are very happy with that. Maybe they're not. Maybe it was just a player wanting to move. There's not much you can do in that situation, is there? But maybe Russell and Ollie here at a long-term half combination for
Well,
Huddersfield.
that's Price and Farge going. I know Price does a little bit of fullback sometimes as well, but that's both.
Maybe he's happy with Connor and Russell.
Well, he needs to pick one and stick with it, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I mean, we had a bit of a discussion around Field and French before in that combination, but he needs to pick
Farge-
spine and stick with it.
Farge is a good signing.
Yeah, good
Catalans.
play.
For Catalan, I think you could probably do with him now, actually, if he could go early.
And I think this win is a massive win for Huddersfield. It just takes it gives them a 2-win barrier. That takes them to 12 points with Castleford on 8. It just pulls them away slightly from that. If they can get one more win, I think that's
it's 6 points now, the gap between them and bottom, isn't it? It's a lot to overcome in whatever.
Well, especially with a team in between you as well.
Yeah.
But tries for Catalans, 2 from Davis and Artemog kicked 3 goals, including a penalty. It's a game that you just think Catalans, they'll be disappointed to lose, but they've been on a brilliant run. We said they were the form team in the comp. They've still got a 2-point lead on Lee. I don't think they'll be worried about it really.
It
Bit
puts us up the
disappointed.
top again, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it brings everyone back into it. I think they'll be a little bit concerned, a little bit annoyed, but they'll move on and deal with it really.
Yeah.
No two massive concerns for me though in that game.
No.
The problem is Kieran at half back.
Yeah,
You know,
obviously still no Sam playing in
no
that
Sam,
game.
no Pierce.
Tyrone maybe in the other half.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of concern there. But if they get them two back, they'll be fine.
You want to move on?
Yeah, we'll go over to the Hull derby. Now, before we go into the actual game itself, can we just end this question now? Which one's the biggest derby? Is it the biggest derby in rugby league? It's not.
Pointless question, anyway.
Well,
We've had enough of this question.
there's two reasons why it's pointless. One, the answer's Wigan Saints. Because whenever we talk about Wigan Saints, we talk about Wigan Saints.
Two successful teams.
But whenever you talk about the Hull derby, the question is it the biggest derby in rugby league? You never ask it about Wigan Saints, does it?
Suppose.
Second of all, the Earl of Derby gave his name.
Not this again.
Well, it's a fact. Let's just get it over and done with. To the Wigan Saints match, right? There you go. Third of all,
Let's go.
Wigan Saints is just a better game for anyone unless you're from Hull.
Obviously. I mean, even people from Hull wouldn't want to watch this one.
The only people that think Hull derby is bigger than any other derby is people from Hull.
Yeah, nobody else.
Outside of there, you've got a different opinion.
I saw a Hull fan describe Sewell Group Craven Park as Sewage Group Caravan Park.
I thought it's quite improved recently as well.
Exactly.
I thought it was like what you was just about to say there, Matty. I was watching this on Sunday and it was just such a poor quality game. I think one at half time, one had a completion rate of 50%, the other one was 65%.
And there were conditions waiting for that.
So many errors, and I was just like, if this meant to be a high quality derby with ferocious big hits and spectacular try, you didn't really get any of that. There wasn't really anything going on for me, and I just thought for this meant to be bigged up to be one of the biggest games of the season, one of the biggest games to look forward to. I thought it was, might be me being a bit harsh, but I thought it was really poor in quality.
Yeah.
It was not the greatest game.
It was. I'm sure there was a passage of play where Hull KR knocked on. Hull FC got a scrum. They went wide. Aaron Swift got pushed in touch, and Hull KR celebrated, and then they knocked on anyway again.
Yeah.
Just think like what are we doing? Why can we not just complete a set, kick it long, and just actually play rugby league?
Yeah.
It was like everyone was just trying to outdo for how crazy you could be.
Well,
Yeah.
Took ball out.
Swift scored a good try, to be fair.
He did.
They did a break, a bit of an offload, and
let's go through
stepping
the
walk.
game. So it's finished 16-6 to Hull FC.
Yeah.
It was 6-0 to Hull KR. So Hull KR won the first half 6-0.
Yeah, Jack Walker.
Second half,
That was an alright
Hull
try.
FC.
Well, actually, that Jack Walker try. It was the only thing. It was the only time in the first half where someone was a bit direct, and that was Mikey Lewis.
Yeah.
And he cut through the gap, and then he got a good offload away to Walker.
well, let's talk about Mikey Lewis. He's one he likes to go early, doesn't he? He likes to go early with a big celebration.
Well, not
He
as early
scored-
as who was it? Went early that one time for Leeds.
Oh, Darryl Orford.
Oh, Daryl Alford, yeah.
But
Not as early as
he went
that.
big.
And Ryan Erkins.
yeah. The swan dive in third row.
But then Mikey, he sort of goes disappearing and doesn't really influence the rest of the game when Hull KR needing to stand up. And then goes off with a failed HIA after headbutting his own player's leg.
Yeah, that was just silly. That
Silly. Like,
he'll never get over being commiserated by that big red dog
yeah.
after they got beat by Wigan. They'll never get over that.
No.
That image will just haunt him forever. Especially because Hull FC have got a player called Clifford.
But again, Jake Clifford stepped up in this game. That second half, very, very impressive.
I'll
He's
tell
been
you what,
good for the.
Super League will be glad to see back of him.
He's been very. I know when we did a podcast, we were quite critical of the Aussie imports of FC when they were doing. They was on
Especially
the
early
bad.
on, we said they didn't step
When
up.
they was on the
Yeah,
bad
that
spell,
time.
text, Jake Clifford, we said we're not seeing much of it, didn't really know who they were. Well, Jake Clifford especially, we know who he is now.
I'm still questioning Tex Hoy.
Well, his hamstring went this game. He tweeted,
Yeah.
anyone got a spare hamstring? His Twitter's interesting. Go and have a look at Tex Hoy's Twitter. It's very interesting.
Anyone got a spare
He
hamstring?
tweets some weird stuff, and he tweets a lot about every game, and his likes are incredibly interesting. Go and look at Tex Hoy's Twitter likes.
If we know someone with spare hamstrings, get in touch with Jay Fields.
Yeah.
See if he-
Fields first in line anyway. Harley, get behind him.
But 2 tries from Adam Swift. First one, absolutely brilliant play, backing up down the middle.
Yeah, good stuff.
And then sends Jack Walker with a brilliant step.
Swift he's a good finisher, isn't he? He's always been like that.
Yeah, he's
He's always been quick, hasn't he?
Good player.
Huddersfield are getting a decent player.
a decent
with
player.
Swift.
He's not a world beater,
No, he's a good
but
player.
he's a
though.
decent player and
Solid.
someone that
He
you'd like
must
to
be
run the
coming on to
squad.
the back end of his career now for Huddersfield,
I know.
hasn't he?
He
So he was around at Saints for a while, and he's been at Hull for a while now.
I suppose. I know what you mean.
So he must
yeah.
be, I don't know, maybe 30?
I wouldn't want to.
I would think.
I'll have a look, but
Well, he's 30.
He's 30.
He,
That was a good shout.
It was a very, very good shout. He's already turned 30.
yeah, I don't mind that too much. I mean, Charlie's still getting it done, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Ryan
suppose.
Hall.
Yeah.
There's plenty of players older than him that are doing well in this league.
Yeah,
And it was
but-
never like who was the express pace? Ashton, Kevin Penny, those guys who were like
Yeah.
relying just on express pace. Whereas somebody like Ryan Hall or Charnley, yeah, they were quite quick, especially Charnley, very quick.
But they're clever in what
But he
they
was
do as
clever
well.
and he was a good finisher. So I think good finishers you can carry on past 30. And Swift
Yeah.
he's a decent finisher, isn't he? So I think it'd be a good signing for Huddersfield.
I do.
And they're getting Tyndall, aren't they? Getting Tyndall, which is a younger model, I suppose. from
Yeah, I
Leeds.
forgot Tyndall's going there.
Tyndall's going to Hull.
Another one that Leeds have lost out to.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, let's talk about them. This was now the last game.
Leeds.
Leeds.
Yeah.
Leeds winning 16 points to 14 against Salford at Salford.
Yeah, this was 3 tries to Salford and 2 tries to Leeds.
Yep. So the try scorers for Salford were Tim Laffey getting a double and Ken Seo getting 1. The tries for Leeds, Cam Smith got 1 and Ash Hanley got 1. Reece Martin kicking 4 goals compared to Brealey's 1.
Why did Max Sneed not kick goals?
Well, this is a bit of the thing that I had. So I've seen someone say that he was on one leg and he was hobbling a little bit, but then he takes a dropout at, I think it's 14-12, a goal line dropout that he kicks out on the full and gives a penalty away under the sticks. And then I saw, well, if he's fit enough to kick goal line dropout, surely he's fit enough to kick goals.
Well, I just would have played Chris Atkin. If he's not fit enough, he's not fit enough.
I don't know whether it was picked up in the game or not, but
Oh, maybe.
there was a few players that returned for Salford. Brody Croft.
Brody Cough. Yeah.
Brody Croft.
He's about to
Andy
say his knee,
Ackers.
that Brody Cough. He's ill like me.
Partington was back. I think this is his second game, isn't it? Partington.
Partington missed the game for a ban.
Yeah.
So he's back from his ban. Oh
Um,
no, he's banned next week. That's it. He got a ban in this game.
Yes.
Salford were the only team not to have anybody banned all year until
This week.
Partington got banned. This ex-Wigan man, Wigan thug.
yeah.
Partington. That's what they'll be saying, won't it?
We breed them like that. don't we?
Wayne made him do this one.
Yeah.
Sean Wayne. He does it, you know. Sean Wayne makes them all do bad tackles.
Well,
Brad Singleton's been banned for 4 weeks because of it.
Yeah, Brad Singleton was just walking past the ground at that time and he got forward.
But coming out of this game, there's not a lot of talk about the actual game, more around the refereeing decisions.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go into each decision because we could talk about it, and there's a couple that I disagree with.
Yeah.
I think Brealey was escorted.
Yeah, he probably was, but it was a bit of a dive anyway.
I actually said I don't think he helps himself because he makes it look
It was
ridiculous.
the elaborate dive.
I think Ackers was blocked off. I don't know what happened at the scrum that saw 2 men sin bin because you can't really see. But Ackers and Aletsky both get 10 minutes for it.
Is that more damaging to Salford or Leeds? Probably Salford, right? Ackers is a spine man.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
They got Chris Atkin on the bench.
But what I wanted to say is I get that you can be angry at a decision and you can disagree with the decision.
Aaron Moore was the ref. Without a video ref.
Without a video ref,
It's difficult, man. It's a difficult job.
seeing it once at full speed when people are running in front of you, you look at the Brealey escort, there's 3 players that cut off, like, are trying to get into position and they cut off his view. It is tough, and I don't ever claim to be a ref or claim to know the game enough to be a ref.
Well, the NRL have got excellent refs. I'm sure we can all agree with that.
Yeah.
Everyone always says they've got excellent refs. And the NRL themselves say they've got excellent refs. Best refs in the world, they always say. Okay, fine. they still get heaps of decisions wrong.
Yeah.
Because it's an impossible job. But they do have the video to back them up, you know.
They've got the video ref and they've got the captain's
And
challenge.
how often do you see the video ref change a decision? It's a few times every game. And the captain's challenge is, if it's used right, is usually overturned.
Well, the bunker review every try now in the NRL, don't
Yeah.
they? Even if he doesn't go to the video ref, if they think
Well, no,
they will.
I think they've changed the rules completely.
Yeah.
The ref gives what he thinks, unless he just doesn't know. In which
Yeah.
case he then goes to the video ref.
Yeah.
And it's checked. So the ref gives a try. So in this country, you send it up as a try. There, he just gives a try and they review it while it's lining up the goal. It saves time. It makes sure everything's right. It crosses every T and dots every I. And quite often, like there was one today, wasn't there, where it got overturned in the
Yeah,
Origin
he did
game.
give the Bradman best try
And
early on. We'll talk about it in a
He
bit.
gave a try on the field, and as he was lining up the kick, they said, actually, let's not try this.
He's offside.
He's offside in the build-up. Perfect. And
Yeah.
in this country, would he have sent it upstairs as a try? Maybe. And maybe it gets overturned. Maybe he would have just given the try.
Yeah.
I don't know. You don't know. People make mistakes. It's difficult. It's an impossible job, reffing.
It's an impossible
Robot
job.
couldn't even do it.
And I've seen a few people saying how much refs actually get paid. And if the figure that I've seen is right, I would not be doing that job. I would say I'd be staying well away from it. Because the abuse that refs get, the level of scrutiny, I've seen people say that they aren't held to account. I actually think they're held to more of account than anyone else.
Yeah.
We had a Twitter discussion with Ian Smith, and in which I said, I actually agree. I never thought about it that way. That everyone remembers a mistake by the ref, but your player dropping a ball or your player doing something, it seems easier to criticise a ref because you think, oh, it's cheating. Oh, they've done us hard there. We never get anything off him. It's easier to believe in almost a conspiracy theory.
I saw a conspiracy theory that RFL was unhappy with all the Yorkshire teams struggling down the bottom of the table.
Yeah.
And ridiculous. Who cares? The RFL don't care about that.
So
I think with refs, they're definitely held to account more now than they used to be. I know we've had conversations about this before, Tom, where I hated the old man. I've not heard it's been said for a while, which I think is good, because I'm like, and this is not me for 1 minute trying to pick on refs. I get it's the hardest job in the world, I completely understand that. But we used to have this thing where commentators would say, oh, if the ref says black's white, then it is. And I would say, well, no, it's not. He's got to say, actually, I made a mistake there and I got the call wrong, and that's okay. I don't want him, I don't want his head chopping off because he got him the call wrong, but let's just acknowledge he got it wrong and stop saying that.
Ideally,
Whatever
we'd
the
have-
ref does, it's like, I don't get that then.
And ideally, we'd have the video to support
The
everyone.
video ref every game would definitely help out the game a bit
Support them
more.
all, wouldn't
The
it?
thing that's worried me a bit with this one is we've mentioned Will Dagger's incident, and the word dive has come up a couple of times, and I do not want diving creeping into our game.
I think it has been creeping in for about 18 months.
I
to be
know
honest.
it has, and it's a bit.
The
I don't know how you
RFL
tackle
did
it.
quite a good thing. Do you remember a while ago when people were lying in the ruck and the acting half would just fall over them, really quite
Yeah.
pantomime,
Yeah,
fall
yeah.
over them, or pass it into them on purpose to get a penalty.
Yeah,
And they just said overnight, they just said, right, enough of that. It's a penalty the other way if you do that, or it's just play on.
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Carry on.
I've not seen it since.
It stopped it overnight.
Yeah.
No,
I've not seen it since. Well,
players
you
get
wouldn't,
caught
yeah.
in the ruck, but like if Brad O'Neill's doing it, for example, for us, he just jumps over the player, doesn't he, and passes it.
Well, they've said now that the rule is that they've got to find you've got to find space, because they've
Yeah.
acknowledged he's made the
If
tackle.
they stay still-
he can't disappear.
Exactly.
He can't. If he makes an effort to roll, you have to find space to
Yeah.
play the ball.
And
Which
so
is just,
that's
ref it with
probably.
a bit of common sense.
I think that's probably what's going to have to happen with this, like diving.
And I love it with the refs when they make tackles and they're flopping on the floor like a fish, looking at the ref, and they just go, "Get up!"
Well,
And you
that's
just
what
see
Lewis
him
did.
you see him just like that with their hand, just simulating to him, get up, and he just go, just play your ball, and and they do.
But
None
Mikey
of the players
Lewis,
turning
Mikey
up
Lewis
at
was
all.
flopping like a fish. That's why he banged his head on. Was it
Yeah.
Litton?
I can't remember his
Jez
name.
Litton's knee, I think it was. Mikey Lewis was flopping like a fish trying to get a penalty, and he brained himself.
Best
on his
thing you
mate's knee.
see. No, you're not having a six again. Get up and play your ball.
It really does worry me though, because we know what's going. And it's a conversation that I don't want to get into now, but we know what the issue with concussions and head injuries and how serious we have to take them. But how many times now do you see a player get up and he gets to his knees and he's holding it back of his head, and then he's looking at his hand and he looks again and like whatever, and he goes to play the ball and he can't play it, and he gets up and he's like whatever, and then he has to give a penalty or he has to stop the game.
I think the Warrington Warrington against Saints when we were watching it in the car. I was kind of rooting for Warrington because they were losing at that point. There was only a few minutes left. I thought it might make it a bit interesting. I wanted them to kind of get up the field a bit, but they got trapped in their own in goal. I think it was a Warrington game. And the guy who gets trapped in his own in goal, he starts to get up and then he just starts holding his head. And actually, or maybe it was the whole KR game. I can't remember now. But actually, the ref didn't fall for it, which is a good thing. But yeah, people holding their heads, people diving. I think it's
Well, the green card was introduced for that, wasn't it? And it never really got used.
It's still
to
here. It's been 2
yeah,
years.
the
it's
green
never
card.
seen it.
Yeah, the green
if you
card is
had
still-
out on your head or you're staying down, it's
No.
right. Green card, you have
No.
to go
So
off
the green
now.
card was for anything other than head injuries. So if you went down with
Yeah.
cramp, if
Yeah,
you went
yeah.
down with a knee injury, but we're going to carry on, you were supposed to get the green card and you were off for 2 minutes.
I think it's the similar thing, but I know it does know with HIAs, but I feel like because is it the doctor who rules on HIA? They have to come off head. See, I would change that. If you get up holding your head, you have to go off now and be assessed because that's how you get it off. They get you no, and when they go no, and then when they blow the penalty and they go out and fine now. No, you was holding your head.
You
Play
got
your safety.
injury. Yeah.
Get off and get assessed because that's the way you'll stop it. Because then you'll go back to old rugby league, which is based on the values that we all love the game for. You pretend you're not it, and you say to the team you've not it, mate.
But
Oh,
at the
the
same
only
time,
time-
I don't want
I
them
don't
to,
want
yeah.
them to obviously
I
be
know.
playing on with head injuries, but we're going too much the other way now. Where we're faking injuries and holding our heads to try and go. Oh, he's holding his head. That means you must have hit him in the eyes. That means it's a penalty, and we've got to find a happy medium somewhere. Will be my point.
And another happy medium to that would be, again, video ref at every match.
Exactly.
Get some video assistance for the referees because it's a hard enough job without video.
I would just like to
with the
see
video.
the RFL actually come out and say, if you go down holding your head and we can tell there's no head contact, we wouldn't ban you.
You know what I would
It's
like
cheating.
the RFL to come out and say? We want a video ref at every game, but we haven't got the money. We'll try and get it. I would be fine with that. We're going to try and get it. Maybe, Ian Smith said maybe the clubs take a smaller percentage of the TV deal, the new TV deal.
Yeah.
Great.
But you're looking at some of the grounds. Some of the grounds have already got the
The screen was at Wakefield, wasn't it?
The screen,
There was
there's a screen at Wakefield.
Above the
There's
burger
a
bar.
screen at Wigan. There's a screen at Warrington, Saints,
I've
Leeds.
always had a screen, as long as I can remember.
Yeah. All FC do, I think.
I don't even think you need the screen.
No.
It doesn't come on the screen in Australia.
Well, this is my other issue. You don't need that screen. I'd turn it off, mate.
The ref's voice comes on like the wizard from The Wizard of Oz. I'm clearing the contact.
Yeah. I would actually turn that screen off, me.
The ref just stands there and watches it, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And then he goes, right, you're off.
And just say, well, no, you've got to give it off what you see.
No, because if
And
there's a
play it.
video ref, and
And like the video ref.
if there's a video ref, then the video ref can help to decide.
Yeah, the video should be involved.
I'd just turn that screen off. Right. That's going to wrap up Super League. We're going to come back with a very, very quick review of the NRL and State of Origin, which has gone on today.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening, and we'll catch you later. So we are back after a quick break, looking at the NRL and then State of Origin. So the first game for this week, there's only 5 because obviously it's Origin week, so half the teams don't play.
7 teams on a bye.
Yeah, 7 teams on a bye. They alternate between the 3 other games. The first game was the West Tigers versus the Sharks. Now the West were coming off a dreadful game. The Sharks probably thought it was going to be a bit closer in the long run, but it was 12-12 at half time. 24 unanswered points from the Sharks in the second half, run away with it. Another underwhelming loss, I think is the right term for
Struggling again.
Struggling, yeah.
the missing our pick.
Found a good couple of wins, didn't they? And they seem to be struggling again now. Hopefully they end it soon and pick up another win. I think they will pick up another win somewhere. I don't think they're going to go the rest of the season losing. But hopefully that comes soon, because it was nice to see them doing a little bit of a resurge. It was quite nice to see.
Bit of an interest there who's going to finish bottom between St George and the West.
Well, West are playing the Knights this week.
That'll be really interesting. But Cronulla doing what they needed to. Nico Hines,
Yeah.
after not getting a call up in a game that he possibly deserved it, they went with Walker and Mitchell. Mitchell Moses, sorry. After only playing 10 minutes in game 1, I thought it was harsh that he wasn't called up for this.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Origin in a bit, but had a very good game. The centre for them was unbelievable, Talakai.
He's a handful, isn't he?
He's a handful. He's a difficult man to stop. But all across this team,
He reminds me of Conrad Hurrell a bit. Like he's really difficult to stop when he gets the ball close to the line.
once he gets going, he's a
Similar
real
build, isn't it?
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
like the tallest, but really stocky, really got power
Yeah.
and some weight behind him. So one-on-one short side plays and crash balls.
So then we'll move on. Then there's St George versus the Canberra Raiders. The Raiders were missing. Were they missing one for Origin? Oh, they were missing Corey, Big Red.
Yeah, Corey.
Big Red.
He made his debut for Queensland.
That's alright.
Went alright, but the Raiders have won 36 points to 26, and it was 24-6, and then it was 30 points to 10.
Yeah.
And they had a little bit of a late run, did St George, with about 20 minutes left. They scored 3 unanswered
I've said
tries.
it weeks and weeks in a row. The Raiders, once they get in front, cannot stay there.
I hope they're not walking a dog.
They
That's hold on
cannot
to a lead.
hold on to a lead. You're right. They can't hold on to a lead.
But even in that, I was never really massively worried watching the game. I don't
No,
think
the Dragons don't have the quality to overcome it. They threatened, but they were never going to have
that
the
Raiders kept chucking up leader, they just kept dropping it.
Exactly.
We're just going to smooth over the fact that you just made a dad joke and you had to go at me last week for
Yeah.
a trout fishy
I know.
comment. We're just going to...
You made out
Glad
like we
over
were
that.
the worst people on the planet when I was away trout jokes last week. And you've just made an even worse dad joke.
I didn't sit here with a face on me going, "Hey, got you all."
Yeah, well,
Back on the game though, Canberra, I think they're sitting like 5th in the table
fifth.
at the minute.
Pressure
Which
on
when you
top.
think
Pressure on
of,
to
when you
fourth.
when you think of the start there, I don't know, Matty, you said they played a bit. I know we've
Yeah.
said a couple of times. You said they played a couple of tricky teams early on,
Yeah.
but
Well,
they've had a really good
you can actually say the
resurgence
same
to get
about
up into
Cronulla.
4.
Cronulla had only won 2 from
Yeah,
the first
people,
5.
people were talking about Cronulla the same, but these two
And they're
teams
second
they
now.
had, they had tough early schedules,
draws.
and then they were playing all of a sudden the Raiders they had to play
Para-
the West, then they had to play the Dragons, then they had the bye week, then they had to play. I was like, well, they could win 6 in a row, yeah.
Yeah.
And they've actually
Look at
But
Parramatta.
they're not far from
they've
6 in a row.
gone well. They only lost one game, which
Parramatta
was
won 1
to
from
the
5.
Warriors.
Parramatta won 1 from 5 and are now sat in 7th.
Yeah, yeah.
The Bunnies, who were the top team at one point, are now sat in 8th.
The Origin's hit them hard, hasn't it? The
Yeah,
Origin
yeah.
period.
They always
They've
lose
really-
Canberra. They've now lost Cody Walker, now lost Damien Cook.
Latrell Mitchell's been
Latrell
out
Mitchell's been injured during
so that it's been a bit of a
There was the whole thing about
Tricky
Campbell
Origin.
Graham, will he play, is he injured, all that. So Origin has hit
So
South
from
really
the start
hard.
of the Origin game, part of the season, they played 7 games,
Yeah.
only won 2.
I mean, we're watching them right now on the big screen up here in your living room. They're losing to the Bulldogs at the minute. It's just put a full game on. I think your TV knows we're doing a rugby league podcast. It's just throwing a full game on. But yeah, they've not been good in this game.
Makes you think though, Whiten next season, who's obviously said he's not going to play Origin, he's retired
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Origin, so it could be what they need. I think Canberra's going really well as well because, and again, correct me if I'm wrong because you two know more about the NRL than I do. Obviously, Jack Whiten is their big name, but
Yeah.
then when you look down their squad, it's not riddled with the stars it was when they made
you're right.
the grand final. Do
They've
you know
got
what
a
I
lot of
mean? The problem
experienced
you would
pros for
expect South to be up there. They've got Cody Walker, they've got Latrell Mitchell, they've got Cam Murray. Whereas I think maybe Canberra are the ones who are impressing me because I thought they've maybe got the weakest squad and I don't want to
Yeah.
use the word overachieving, but
No, I
they've got
know, I think they are overachieving.
the shock to be up there.
This is a team that scraped the 8 the last couple of years. And if you think back to that time when they made the grand final, they made the grand final and then they made the semi-final.
Yeah.
And those were where they had Bateman, Josh Hodgson.
Josh Hodgson being paired to Cameron Smith at the time as
Yeah.
well. Bateman got the Dalian back row of the season.
They had
Or
Chance Nickel Clock start back and
I'm just looking at their side
So
from the week.
Josh Papali was in mint form for them.
So they've actually lost quite a few since then. Lost a few players since then. And obviously that second year, Williams came in.
Yeah.
And that was the only thing they'd been lacking, was they'd been having Whiten and Caesar in the halves. And the only thing they'd been lacking was Williams, and he made them better. The only reason they didn't win anything in 2020 was because Bateman's long injury and the Storm came out of nowhere and won it. But they were
But I'm just
they
looking
were
at
really
them.
good at that period, and they've lost a lot of stars since then. I would imagine they're quite a cheaply assembled team, not very
Well,
expensive,
let me
but
just go through the
especially when
side.
Whiten leaves.
Papali didn't play on the weekend.
No, Whiten played in the pack at some point.
Yeah, he did go into the pack at one point, but Papali didn't play. You think got Joseph Tapani, a New Zealand international.
To be fair about him, he's very
Yeah,
good.
he's
Hudson
very
Young,
good.
who's just made his Origin debut
Yeah.
in this series.
But they've got Matt Frawley.
Matt Frawley.
And he couldn't,
Elliot Whitehead.
He couldn't cut it at Huddersfield. He wasn't starting for Huddersfield.
And then you go into the bench and you go in Emre Gula, Trey Morney, Peter Hula.
Yeah, these are guys who've barely played at
Barely
NRL.
played.
Gula's played a lot, but as a solid backup.
The 9 was Zach Wolford.
Yeah, Zach Wolford.
And Tom Starling comes off the bench for them at 9.
Yeah.
You go into the back line, Sebastian Chris at full back. He'll have been on an improved contract, but he won't be on massive money.
Well, he would have signed a centre contract.
Yeah.
Although I think he's just signed a new deal.
Jared Croker,
Yeah.
Matthew Timoko, who I've been very impressed with. I thought he's played very, very well.
He's very talented.
The wingers are Albert Hopawate,
Yeah, he's
and
been
Jordan
good.
Rapinoe.
Rapinoe's in his 30s.
He's
In his
getting on a
30s.
bit, isn't he?
He
Jared
went to
Croker
Japanese
in his
rugby
30s.
union and he's come back.
And then you went to the house and you got some experience in the house with Jack Whiten and Jamal Fogarty.
Yeah, there is.
I just don't know if that's all.
Fogarty is a journeyman, and obviously Whiten's leaving, and then you've got Matt Frawley coming in. Yeah, I don't know.
I just don't know whether that's a winning half-back partnership.
Well,
but they're doing well.
They're doing well.
what if
Right.
they sign Jack Wellesby?
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to pick a new team.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Right,
Cheers to Jack
Parramatta.
Wellesby, they'll have no Wickeners and they'll have one from St Helens.
Horrible.
Remember when they had 5 Englishmen and they did an April Fool's that they were going to do a match in London?
Yeah.
But because nobody in England was up, it wasn't April 1st for us in England, so
No one got it.
no one got it, like when the Easter egg kit came out for Parramatta this year, and it was still match day first for us.
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird one, that. So then we'll go over to Parramatta. New Zealand Warriors winning 46 points to 10.
Wow.
They'll be disappointed, Parramatta, but at the same time, I think there's not much they can do.
That New Zealand Warriors kit is absolutely brilliant.
Clint Gutherson was picked on the bench, and in the words of Freddie, I have no plan for him. He came on with the last 4 minutes left, or 5 minutes left, or whatever it
Yeah,
was.
Gutherson's not winning in this game though.
Mitchell Moses,
They lost by 36.
Regan Campbell-Gillard. The halfbacks were Ryan Mattison, who's a second rower,
Yeah.
and Dejan Assi. You know, I'm assuming he's a young lad that's coming through.
Dejan, yeah, I've heard of him before.
I've heard of him, but I don't know much about him. They're 3 big losses. Regan Campbell-Gillard, Moses, and Gutherson. You're probably picking the 3 best players there from.
Yeah, I guess so.
A bit of another shock result, really. The Bulldogs.
Dejan Arcee's a centre,
Is he a centre? There you go.
but he's played a bit off the bench. He's played a bit at half-back this year, but he's mainly a centre.
They're struggling, Para, aren't
Yeah.
they? Struggled last couple of weeks.
Washini Zelezniak scored again. Nice try. Again.
Lionel Richie, as you call him.
Lionel Richie, he's unbelievable.
Is
Absolutely unbelievable.
was this the game? Sorry again, I'm on the that. Or was it last week when I was watching? There was a try where he took out the cameraman.
Oh, that was this week. Yeah.
Was it this week? And then
Yeah,
they showed the cameraman shots of him getting
Yeah.
closer, and then eventually like crashing into
And there
him.
was
So it was
one
like a
where
really
one
good.
where it showed him putting the ball down like it was a perfect video ref camera angle if it needed one. But yeah, you're exactly right on that one. It was exactly.
It's like a frame by
That-
frame
yeah,
shot
that
of him
was.
like coming closer to
I
the
know.
camera as he took him out, and he
That's
picked him
what
back
it's
up and
about.
gave him
He's
an
a
hug. And the
good
cameraman
finisher,
was
isn't
snapping.
Yeah, the cameraman had done his job, hadn't he? So he was pleased, and there was
Yeah.
no actual damage done.
No.
Good fun though.
Now, let's move on to the next game. Again, and first of all, we should say we wish good health to Ryan Sutton.
Oh
who's-
yeah, scary
Yeah.
one for Ryan Sutton. Yeah.
Who's had a really bad injury.
Wigan lad.
And there's already talks that it might be his season done.
Yeah, so he had a bad injury. He was hit with a shoulder charge in his chin,
Yeah.
and it was a neck injury, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It
that's
was-
what I'm hearing, and that's what I've seen and read.
It
But
feels like we know a lot about head injuries, especially now. There's a big focus on head injuries, but we don't really see as many neck injuries. And so this is why it was a bit scary, I think.
But the Bulldogs win this game, 36 points to 32.
Yeah.
Now we talk about players missing for Parramatta.
So it's
Lots of players missing for Souths.
Canterbury had a few missing, but not as many.
Cody,
as Saints.
Cody Walker,
Yeah, Cody.
Latrell Mitchell, Campbell Graham didn't play. No Damien Coke. If I start to go through some of the names, you'll get the point. Colin Tunge, the second rower.
Yeah.
Cam Murray, I think there was 5 in Origin.
And obviously Mitchell's still out injured.
Latrell Mitchell. There was 5 South players in Origin. compared to, I think, 1 from the Bulldogs. Yeah, there was 1 from the Bulldogs.
Fox.
Adol Carr. This game finished 36 points to 32. It feels like they just waited on the Rabbitohs to start getting things right again.
They need bodies back, don't they? I think I wouldn't. The coach will still be disappointed because they've scored 32 points and not won the game. But he'll know that once bodies are back, they'll climb straight back up that table. They'll be in the playoffs and they'll be competing. They know they can still beat anybody on the day where they've got a fully fit side. So I don't think they'll be panicking.
Do you know what
Too
round
much.
this was?
This was round 19.
So Jai Arrow, Campbell Graham, and Latrell Mitchell are all back in round 21. That's
What about Jai Arrow? Because he didn't play Origin.
That's going to be your target, isn't it? Because they're on a bye week this week.
That's massive.
So
2
actually,
points.
next match,
They should all be back.
they should all be back against the Broncos.
And Cook and Walker will be back.
Yeah. So, but by the time the next match rolls around, 21st of July,
They could have 5 back.
they've got a full strength team.
Canberra
that's-
be back as
And
well.
Canberra will be back.
That's at home.
And Colin
Against,
Matungi.
that's at home against the Broncos. That's one to circle in your diaries, folks. That one, 11 o'clock, 21st of July.
2 weeks to prep for it. They're going to have 7 players back.
That's going to be a cracking game. That
They're going to have the 5 in Origin, plus Campbell Graham.
Brisbane are playing this week as well. That's going to be a belting game. That.
But let's go over to the last game, the Gold Coast versus the Dolphins. Gold Coast managed to make this 21-21 with about 10 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah.
But the Dolphins win 23 points to 21. They did it without the hammer. Controversially. Now,
Yeah, good celebration, Lewis.
it's controversial because he's give offside in at extra time
To charge down a drop goal.
to charge down a drop goal. But he is offside.
Yeah. He was offside, so it was the right decision.
It's the right decision, but people are saying, how often do they get away with it? Well, just because you got away with it in the past doesn't mean you should get away with it now. In my personal opinion, he was offside. He was offside quite.
He was offside by quite a bit, and the ref said to him, he said, "You've gone way too early."
Yeah, it was.
He
Yeah.
blew it, and he said, and the captain come over and he said, "No, he were well offside." He said he weren't just like, and he was. He jumped the gun way too early.
Now, there is one try that I wanted to talk about. It was Kieran Foran's. The winger for the Titans, Pereira. Now he can shift. He is sharp.
This was yeah.
He they make a break on the left hand side, and he's coming around to the full back, Cody Nikarima, who, when he kicks past Nikarima, decides that he's gonna basically take a ball and all challenge, take Pereira with him, and when he takes Pereira out, what he actually does is take out
His own winger.
his own centre, that thingy Wahara. And that actually means that then there's no one chasing the ball other than Kieran Foran, the slowest man on the pitch, who seems to have 30 yards on everyone because the rest are either not chasing or lying on the floor.
That Tawera is so funny, man. He's so big. He's a loose forward that just plays anywhere. He can literally play anywhere. He actually got a contract to cut the grass at Redcliffe Oval. That's his contract that he came to Australia for.
Really?
Was to cut the grass, to be a groundsman. And he impressed at some kind of
Trial
trial or Sunday league thing, or I don't know. And all of a sudden he's playing in the NRL for this new franchise. Because he gave up rugby. He's from New Zealand, he gave up rugby. And then this was all of a sudden he just got this chance with the Dolphins at loose forward, and now all of a sudden he's playing centre. He played halfback a few weeks ago.
Yeah, he did. He's played
But
everywhere.
he's massive, like he's such a big body.
He's hard to handle.
He's probably bigger than Talakai.
Yeah, he's hard to handle.
Yeah, because he's quite tall as well. Yeah, he's a good player, and I like him.
But that's
Gives
all.
100% as well.
Well, that's all the games for the NRL this week. It's left the league in a bit of a stalemate, really. There's a couple of teams way off at the top in terms of the top 4 are all on 26 points. Penrith, Cronulla, Brisbane and Canberra. But then from 5th to 11th, they're all split by 4. The Warriors, Melbourne, Para, Rabbitohs, North Queensland, who were out of it. I said I thought they were out of it, but the Gold Coast and the Dolphins are all sat between 24 to 20. It's a massive.
The comp odds have changed again though, and there's now only 9 teams that the comp thinks can win it. They're drawing a line under the Sea Eagles now. Sportsbet have got 200 to 1 for the Sea Eagles at 10th, so they've basically drawn a line under 9th place, which is the Cowboys. and said these teams can win it. Anybody below that cannot. Interesting that the Raiders, who are 5th at 34-1, and the Cowboys, who are 9th at 19s.
Well, shall we just quickly go through that? They've got Penrith at the favourites at $2.80.
$2.80 though? Who's going to bet on that?
The Broncos are at $5.
To win the
Sharks at 13.
That's long.
That's a long odd. Storm are 7.5. Raiders are 34.
That's because they don't have the stars.
Yeah.
I bet.
I don't think. Yeah.
To win the big games, to win the
Yeah.
playoffs, you need stars. I think that's why sports bet have got such long odds.
But the Warriors are at $18.
Yeah.
The Eels at $21, making them only the 7th favourite in the comp.
But then the Rabbits are in 8th at $6. So the third favourites for the comp are sitting in 8th.
But I think they know that's because they're missing 8.
Maybe.
Is it 7 or 8 they're missing?
No, they're not missing. Well, for this one game they were, but injury-wise,
Five
they're not missing
Origin
any
players. But they've
Everybody's
had
back next game.
You got to remember though, in the other Origin games they've missed
Oh no, I know.
Cook.
Yeah, and Mitchell been out for a while.
Who would you put your money on now? Sorry to put you on the
It's
spot.
hard to go against Panthers again.
Do you reckon?
If you wanted an outside
Panthers.
favourite, I always think Melbourne can win any game.
I think
yeah.
Storm from the outside favourite.
with Grant, Munster, Hughes.
Will Pappenhausen be back this season at some point, or is he done
Meant to
for
be
the
back
season?
soon.
I
Is
don't
it?
know.
I've read.
I don't know about Pappenhausen. I've not read anything about it.
But Nick Meaney at fullback is not a bad option.
If you
for
want a
that.
real long shot, the Cowboys are going to do things. I think this season.
Well, the Cowboys are.
They've
Cowboys are at 19,
Yeah, they've won 4 in a row.
so they are two. They are better than 2 of the teams in the top 8 according to Sportsbet.
They are.
That's
Panthers
That's
have done well
interesting,
for stick first without Cleary, haven't they?
Yeah, you're right.
But keep at the top there without
Yeah.
Cleary over the last couple of weeks. They're doing really well.
Yeah.
yeah. It'll be
Dolphins
interesting
next.
to see.
Interesting game that.
Mm.
Raiders are on a bye. That'll see them go up 2 more points. The Raiders could be joint top after this game.
It's
Potentially.
very interesting.
Mm.
I think the Broncos are favourites to beat the Bulldogs.
It's quite amazing to actually have a look at to look at the league and say how close Super League is and the NRL.
Oh, the
is.
NRL
Here we
is
go.
just as good this year.
I reckon your semi-finals, obviously not playing each other, just the 4 teams will make up the semi-finals. I'm going to go Panthers, Broncos, Storm and Rabbits.
I think it will be.
I'm going to go for...
I think it will be.
I think
Panthers,
Sharks will
Broncos,
drop out.
Storm and Cowboys.
You say the
I
Cowboys.
think the Cowboys are going to get to the final 4, and the Sharks are going to drop off.
So you're not having the Rabbits in there?
No, I'm not having the Rabbits in there. I know that.
I was
That would be the
person-
4 best teams. What Lewis said then.
I was-
Panthers, Broncos, Storm, Rabbits. That would be the 4 best teams, but I don't see all 4 of them making it.
It's obviously difficult because if one of them,
Yeah, we're just guessing, aren't we? We're not
Yeah.
doing anything else. It's
We're
just
not going to
guessing.
put any actual money on.
It's just good to do because the table is so, like you're saying, compact and tight.
Yeah.
So it is good to
There's
look at who's
nobody
there and think
running
who you
away
think
at
will
the top.
fall, who do you think's gonna
Yeah.
do it. Can Penrith keep up
out
there?
of that top 9, you're probably looking at it and thinking that you could get at the Raiders, you could get at the Warriors if you drew then. Because
if you're the Eels and the Rabbits, as it is now, you're going away to the Warriors, tough place to go. You're going away to the Raiders, tough place to go, but you'll still back yourself.
Right, we're going to take a quick break there and then we'll come back, look at Origin and do our predictions. Thank you. So today was game 3 of Origin. It was 2-0 to Queensland. So the result of the game was already decided, really, of the series. It was going back to Queensland. A game for pride more than anything for the Blues.
Yeah.
And a game to actually decide whether some people stay or go. Whether they've played their last Origin or not, whether Freddie gets sacked or not.
Well,
What
I saw a lot
happens?
of people after game 2 saying that's Freddie done,
Yeah.
regardless. I'm seeing a lot of people today saying Freddie should be kept on.
Now,
As someone who quite likes Queensland, I would say, yeah, keep Freddie on because he's got a pretty poor record.
he's got a pretty poor record, and I think it's possibly time for a change. them two games, the first 2 were poor. They were very, very poor, and I don't think anything else needs to be said than that because it was a dead rubber.
Yeah.
It's made this series a bit flat for me.
Yeah,
I know if there's nothing you can do in a 3-game series, if it goes to 2-0, that's just the way how it goes, and you can't do much about
26-18
it. But kind of
in the first
watching it today, it just wasn't the same. Because you knew who won the series. They were trying to big it up, say it's all about pride. You don't want the clean sweep, which I get, but
The first game was 26-18. They were winning against 12 men.
They were winning
and
that
lost.
game,
A must win. A must win in game 2 at Suncorp. 32 points to 6. They score when it's already 20 points to 0.
32-6 is a bad scoreline. Because
And
those
then-
teams aren't separated by quality, that amount of points.
You're right, 100% right.
Now, this team was heavily changed. Tedesco stayed at full back. I think he deserved to have that. Whether you think his time's gone or not, I think he deserved that last
Played
game.
well in this game, to be fair. He made a couple of good breaks.
Brian
Half
Toto,
breaks.
Stephen Crichton.
They're always
best.
in.
Toho and Crichton did play very
Toto
well.
and Crichton, I think, are probably well suited to Origin football, and they will be picked going forward.
The only thing with Toto is his height. They target him with the kicks a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that led to at least one. It led to one try and maybe another attempt. It led to the Fafita try.
The Fafita try, yeah, where Hammer it was outstanding again. I mean, I texted you today at 12 o'clock or whatever time it was saying, is the Hammer the greatest ever rugby league player?
Well,
it felt like it watching that. He just jumped up higher than everybody else to knock one back. And
should we talk about the
Then he
Blues team
scored.
first and then we'll go through that?
all right, okay.
Because in the halves, Mitchell Moses keeps his place instead of Nathan Cleary, who was injured, and everyone would assume that Cleary would come back in.
Yeah.
But they dropped Jerome Luai.
Yeah.
And Cody Walker played in the halves.
Do you think that was mostly due to the performance of Jerome Luai, or mostly due to the pathetic Instagram post he put after the second loss?
Well, Freddie came out and said that post was about people giving him death threats. So I don't know.
So for a bit of context, what was the Instagram post, just for anyone who
This is
hasn't
when
seen
they got beat at Suncorp Stadium 32-6,
32-6.
like you said, to lose the series. And he come in for some stick because he didn't play very well.
And he
And
posted a
He
picture.
posted a black and white. He's like a teenager. He posted a black and white Instagram story.
He was
And
sat
sitting-
against the post, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
sat against the post with headphones on, in black and white like a teenager, saying something like, "Shut up, all you clowns have got work in the morning." Like then he's meant to be representing the state, and that's clearly not representative of the state, is it? When you say things like that.
But I don't know whether that was why or not. But Cody Walker played, and I thought he was very, very impressive. I was impressed with Cody
Yeah,
Walker.
Clearly, he's not the long-term future. is
No,
he?
not at 32, 33. But he had some threat on that left-hand side. And he was toying with them all game with Valentine Holmes and Daly Cherry Evans on that right-hand side defensively. They couldn't make the right call. And I think it was Joey Johns on comm said that he's still the best ball playing half in the comp at 32, 33, and he could carry on. He's contracted with the Rabbits till 2025, so he's got another 2 years. But then we go into the forwards. Jake Travojevic and Regan Campbell-Gillard played the first game of the series because they've both been injured.
Yeah.
Damien
But
Cook,
they would be picked if they were fit
Yeah.
for game one. Yeah, you have to say that Fittler was missing those two.
but he's dropped Paolo.
Yeah.
Damien Cook started at 9. Didn't start the first game for Appy.
Happy
Was on the bench in the second, and then comes on at second at centre, and now starts at 9. Liam Martin didn't start the first game, but was on the bench.
He's been the Blues' best player.
He's been the Blues'
he's
best
been
player.
Across the
very
series.
good in.
But then they bring in Keone Kolomatungai from the Rabbits,
Yeah, he's impressive.
and the two second rows that started, Hudson Young and
Junior Paolo.
Tyson Frizzell.
Oh,
Frizzell, yeah. Linked with the Hulk AR move.
I've also heard a
Imagine that.
rumour that they've just they're going to announce the Knights that they've signed him on another 2-year deal, so he's staying at the Knights. But then they dropped Isaiah Yeo to the bench and started Cam Murray.
We were
I
calling for
would
that.
have done that,
Yeah, we were calling for that last time. We were calling for Martin and Murray to start last
Yeah.
time, weren't we?
but if that's not the right call after game 1, why is it the right call after game 2?
We had benched this one. For
On the
Blues.
bench, yeah. They
Yeah,
bring in
bench.
Jacob Saifiti, who I said should have been picked from the start. He played Origin the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Was impressive, never put a foot wrong.
Yeah.
Obviously, the missing Payne Haas, who would already have been a starter due to an injury. But
Then they got Reece
Robson, did he get on the field?
Interchange hooker. Didn't see him.
I don't remember him getting on the field.
I mean, he's the future of that position potentially. But then they had Isaiah Yeo, so they had a back rower,
Yeah.
a loose forward, let's say. An interchange 9 in Reece Robson. They had Clint Gutherson, who's a bit of a like Swiss Army knife back. Utility back.
Didn't Freddie say that he had no plan for him?
And one prop. So one prop on the bench is brave,
It's
especially when
Jake and Campbell Gillard haven't played for so long.
Especially and Campbell Gillard isn't. He's not.
He can do 80 minutes, but he's not been doing it for a while. The only real change that was obvious for the Maroons was Brimson was at fullback for Reece Walsh, who was banned.
Yes. Not for what he did in the last Origin game, but for what he did for Brisbane.
He for abuse of a ref. And
I'll tell you what,
Corey
just
was
to
on the
interrupt
bench.
the TV's throwing up an absolute blinder for us next. It's finished with that game. It's now showing us the 2014 NRL Grand Final. That was the Rabbitohs against the Bulldogs, slamming Sam Burgess and James Graham. This is a brilliant game, this. Lottie Takiri just scored. Brilliant game to pop up on the TV for us this time. That game was mad. I remember watching that game. It was such a big event. The Rabbitohs and the Bulldogs. Two big Sydney teams playing together in the final.
They sell the grand finals better than we do.
Oh, yeah.
It's an event rather
definitely.
than just a final.
Yeah.
Um,
And the whole Sam Burgess story was fantastic.
phenomenal. But then we talk about Origin. I thought Ponga would have come back in at fullback, but I can understand him going Brimson.
He likes Brimson.
I thought he was impressive. But let's go through some of the big moments. Obviously, Toto is possibly at fault for the first try. They didn't react well to a kick.
The hammer gets up for the highest and knocks one back
To David Fafita, who falls over the line.
Fafita, who, by the way, considering he's been out of the Origin side for a few years, has another one who's been had
A very impressive
good
series.
Yeah, 3 good games there.
And then the Blues thought they'd hit back with the debutant Bradman Best, but his foot was just over the line. He was given offside.
Yeah, offside from
Toto finishes well in the corner.
Nice
through a bit
hands,
of a clunky play, really, but some hands.
Some good hands, because sometimes you see the slick passing move that looks incredible,
But everyone just slides.
but everyone just slides. Whereas this one, because it was a bit clunky and because it was a
and
bit
off the cuff.
off the cuff, it helped all the showing that Sam Burgess cheekbone again. Wow.
But then we're going to go on to the Addo Carr try. We talk about Cody Walker having a good game on the left hand side. He gets the ball to Bradman Best, who gives it early to Addo Carr, races down the wing, kicks over the top of Brimson,
Yeah.
and you think, who's in support?
Well, I
And then
thought at first I thought it was too strong, the kick,
Yeah.
but it wasn't. It was perfect.
But then you're thinking, who's in support here? Tedesco's on the inside. Is he going to get there first, or is Cherry Evans?
Yeah.
And then Addo Carr runs around the full back
Yeah.
and wins by a good foot and a bit. He gets there with some distance. He really does shift, doesn't he?
And then there was a 1-2 punch 3 minutes later.
Yeah.
Bradman Best actually was in for a try this time. An excellent try.
Yeah.
Again.
But just before half time, the Hammer gets himself on the score sheet.
This is what prompted me to text you about the hammer being incredible.
He is so talented.
Again though, clunky play across right to left.
Yeah.
Juggle ball, juggle ball, juggle ball. Everyone has to stop in the defence, and the hammer just finds a bit of a gap.
Well, that was it. Everyone just stops. And we talked about it with Jar Fields at Wigan, where everyone stops and he's just quicker to get going.
Yeah.
He pokes himself through a gap, starts to run at the full back, puts the kick in. Oh, and it's
He
just
goes
brilliant.
past. What did the guy in comms say, Matt Thompson? He went past Brian Toto like he was attached by a rope or something.
Yeah,
Brian Toto basically got.
dragged along.
Yeah,
He couldn't get anywhere near him, and Toto's no slouch.
exactly. No, exactly.
But then he rounds Tedesco,
Yeah,
who's no slouch as well.
fantastic try this.
Brilliant play
The
from the
hammer,
Hammer.
well done. He's had such an amazing series. I know Ruben Cotter got the player of the series, and the Hammer probably would have got it if the second try had counted for one that was disallowed, because that would have left him with 5, I believe.
Yeah, it would have been the joint most ever, wouldn't it? In
He's
a
the
series.
13th player, I think, ever to score in all 3 games. Maybe just for Queensland, but he's been so good. He's been so consistent,
He's
so
so
good.
effective in
Considering
everything
he was
he
one of the picks, like one of the new picks. I know he's played before a while ago, but considering he was one of the
When he's been
picks,
playing
that-
full back.
bit of a question mark.
He's always been a full back.
Yeah.
He's not like Latrell where you go, he was a centre that scores a full back.
Yeah.
But then Bradman Best scores in the second half to make it 24-10.
Yeah, there was a penalty on half time for New South Wales that led it to an 8-point gap, which they never got back from the Maroons. There was only one try in the second half.
A bit of me wonders how up for it were Queensland, because you've already won it. You're already thinking it's game over. I know you want 3-0.
Yeah. It's like what I said before, it's natural human nature to switch off a bit. And they were missing Walsh.
Missing Reece Walsh shoes.
Reece Walsh.
But then...
I thought Scott Drinkwater might have got a go for this game.
No, I didn't.
I like the... I think he likes the Swiss Army knife of Gutherson.
Yeah.
Who could probably fill in every position if there was an injury in the backs. But I feel like Scott Drinkwater's performances have earned him a chance. Maybe next year, I don't know. Depends what happens with Tedesco, but I think
Dylan Edwards is the next guy.
Well, I don't know. He would have picked Dylan Edwards for this one, 18th man. But he's had Gutherson in before Edwards, and he's had Drinkwater in before Edwards. So I just don't think he wants to pick Dylan Edwards. I just don't think he likes that sort of full back.
Yeah. Right. Shall we move on to some Wigan news?
Yes.
So, first of all, brought this morning, after the signings of last week, that we've got Brad O'Neill has signed a new 4-year contract, keeping him at Wigan until 2020, at the end of 2027.
Yeah, which is also when Leeming's contract expires.
Yeah.
I think it's well deserved. It's his first new contract that I can see since his academy contract. He deserves
and he's
a
earned
wage that represents his status within the squad. And he has earned it, you're right in saying that. He's also not someone who I've seen kicking up a fuss about wanting to leave for bigger money. Like we've seen some players do that before, who are still on their academy contracts and getting games. He might have done that behind the scenes, which is the right way to do it, by the way. But yeah, I think not much to complain about here. We've got our long-term
9 set up.
nines well sorted with Leeming and O'Neill. I think they'll probably spell each other.
It leaves a question as to what's going to happen with the squad. But again, I've said this before, I don't really want to go into trying to
guess who's
leaving, because you never know. Anything could be happening behind the scenes, and that's for them to announce when they're ready.
Yeah.
But whilst we've been recording, there's actually been 2 games going on involving Wigan sides. The first one was the Warriors Scholars have played Newcastle and have won 88 points to 8. A really, really impressive performance to score that many points, to keep them to 2 tries. A hat-trick from James Parr. As they said, is a 5-minute hat-trick from James Parr in the second half.
Yeah, this Scholars team, quite young, aren't they? It's quite a young age group team, this.
But then the women's academy have played St Helens Academy.
Yeah. St Helens one of the strongest women's teams in the game.
And it's ended 22-22.
Yeah.
I think it's really good they've got a women's academy team.
Yeah.
It's going with one of the people like.
I think it's new.
I think
it's new this year,
I think it is good. It shows you again they're taking it seriously and trying to promote pathways and into the women's side of the game as well. I think that's a really good thing. That.
And I understand the situation of it will take time to, what's the word? It'll take time for these to set up.
Yeah.
But the sooner you do it, the sooner you're going to.
You've got to get the ball. You've got to start.
Sooner you do it, the sooner you're
get the
going to
ball
reap the rewards.
There was also a win for the wheelchair team.
Yep. It was their Magic Weekend, wasn't it?
Was it another one? The Alum Sports Centre, where's that?
Hull.
Oh, they played Hull FC.
That's it, might not be. Apologies, I might have got that wrong.
They played Hull FC, and they won 70 points to 20. So good to get back on. They've lost 3 in a row before this, so good to get back on the horse really for them. Them guys beat Hull FC 70 points to 20. I heard somewhere that our new favourite, or one of our new favourite wheelchair players, got over for his first try.
Yes.
One of the questions in the Deck Roberts interview was basically, can you put me over for a try?
He's actually got his first this week,
he said, Deck, can you put me over for a try? Now, I don't actually know if Deck was playing.
No, Deck didn't play.
So ironically, it was a time when Deck wasn't playing. But yeah, well done on getting your first try. It was Reece Duddle.
Yeah.
Was the player who got his first try.
I think we keep saying this about everything that's going on at Wigan. we're making the right decisions. They've invested in the wheelchair game. They're investing in the women's teams. They've always invested in the academy, and this is why I back. They're invested in the PDRL team. I trust Lenigan and I trust Chris Radlinski to do what's best for this club, because they're consistently getting the right decisions, in my opinion.
Yeah, they've got the experience there, haven't they?
Yeah.
And like you said before, it's not going to be a quick fix. We're not going to have a women's system that's, up there and winning, competing for World Cups with Australia. It's going to take time. But like you said before, you've got to start somewhere. You've got to take it seriously, invest in it, and reap your awards later on.
They've got the academy now. The next big step is to push the grassroots game.
Yeah, I maybe over summer we could perhaps go to a few grassroots games that are all reasonable times. Maybe have a bit of a community game special. I had that idea today. I've not even run it by you two yet, but I feel like I'll just drop you in it. Maybe we'll do it. Maybe we won't. I don't know. But we do want to record a few more specials while we're having the summer to ourselves. So yeah, I don't know why we wouldn't have a bit of a focus on one of them for the community game. It seems to be going all right this year. I don't know.
Yeah, very well.
See some good results.
Right, let's wrap it up with the predictions. First of all, on Thursday we've got Satalan.
Satalan.
Oh, it's been a long day. Jesus, what? St Helens versus Catalans on a Thursday. They're not in Catalans, Lewis, so you can't back them blindly because of that. Matty, who are you going?
The totally wicked. I've seen a few comments from Saints fans saying they're missing a few. I'm gonna back. I don't know. I'm gonna back Catalan by less than a try. But I've got no confidence in that. I've got no confidence in that whatsoever. It's basically a coin toss.
Catalan's still missing a few, do we know? Is Tompkins,
I just got
still
the
out?
squad up.
I heard he was back.
Sam is in the squad.
Sam's back, yeah.
Mitch Pearce is in the squad.
Okay.
But they're missing is it Artemog?
Oh, is he
fullback. They've not named him in the 21.
Well, Tyrone May was good last week, I think, in a defeat. So I think probably May and Pearce in the halves, Tompkins at fullback, maybe.
Yeah. But they've named Davis, named Kieran,
Yeah.
Matty Cavallo,
Kieran
Tom
back.
Johnston.
Kieran and Cavalli back into centres.
Yeah.
Let's have that. I'm going to Catalan by not very many.
In that case, then, seeing that they've got a couple, I was going to go for Saints, knowing that they had a couple of injuries in the game that's just been played this week, but knowing that they've got a couple back, I'll go Catalan.
I'm going to go St Helens. No particular reason. I just
This
think
is so close. This
Yeah, it's
week.
going to be a
such a
good
close
game.
game. Anyone
know.
could win
I
that.
think it's going to be close. No team's going to batter the other, I don't think. I think
Yeah.
it'll be close.
Yeah.
Now, a very interesting game. Huddersfield versus Wakefield.
Yeah.
Both coming off good wins.
Yeah, important wins.
Huddersfield not wanting to get dragged into a relegation battle.
Um,
Wakey probably looking for another win before they have to play Cass.
So if Huddersfield were to lose this one, that would leave them 4 points clear of
Cass and Wakey.
Cass and Wakey, provided Cass would lose.
Yeah. Bear in mind they've got to play Cass in 3 weeks.
No, I think Huddersfield are going to win. I think Wakefield, off the back of 2 big wins at home, I think they're going to struggle with the emotional factor of that. Would be quite draining. So I think it's going to be Huddersfield for me in this one.
I think Huddersfield.
They were much better last week, weren't they?
They're coming off Catalan away is such a big win. And to come off the back of that, to then be playing at home the week after, you've got to...
An extra 2 days rest for Wakefield.
I know, but
Yeah,
I
but
don't. I don't look into that too much. They've got to back that up. They have to. And I know I've said before that Huddersfield they have to back it if they're going to get another win, and then they've not. But to me, I think they should be backing this up. So I'm going to go Huddersfield.
I'm going Wakefield. First time all season I've got to back them.
Fair enough.
Sure.
Leeds Hull KR. What a close game that'll be.
Yeah.
Leeds, the consistent team, have now found a bit of form with 3 wins from 3.
Yes.
Hull KR are injury struck at the moment and have lost another couple in Michael Lewis is now out. I think there's another injury they've announced today. I'm not sure who that was. Who are we going, lads? Matty?
I'm going for Leeds for that reason. It seems too easy to pick this one, doesn't it? Like, Leeds are on great form, Hull KR are struggling with a lot of injuries. I
I
should
feel
go
like I'm
Leeds.
just following Matty because I'm going Leeds as well.
No.
I think they've struggled with injury. I won't be surprised with the semi-final looming.
Oh yeah.
If they'd rest a couple more,
point.
just to make sure
I
they've
don't think
got
they have to squad to rest.
Well, we can't afford to
Somebody's-
do that, but yeah, maybe.
some bodies for the
I'm
semi-final.
going to follow you and go Leeds because I can't see any other result with the injuries that Hull KR have got. They'll probably prove me wrong, but who knows. Obviously, they've got the lad in from Canberra. He's named in the squad.
Schneider.
Schneider.
I wonder if he can play in the cup.
Don't see why not.
He's not playing for any other cup team. I guess Fuad Yaha might be cup tied because he was playing for Catalan when they were still in the cup. But
Yeah.
Brad Schneider's not playing for anybody else in the cup. Maybe he could play. No.
Last game for Friday. Only 3 on Friday. Wigan Warrington.
Yeah.
Matty. Why am I asking? Is anyone going to back against Warrington?
I'm going to go
against Wigan?
for Wigan close.
Lewis.
Wigan.
Wigan here. I don't think it needs any justification.
No.
On to Saturday. Hull FC versus the Castleford Tigers. Matty.
Hull FC. Yeah, Hull FC.
Yeah, Hull. I can't see Gatsby too.
I've got to go Hull as well. The only issue is the rumours around Clifford and does that affect him?
Yeah,
But I don't think it will.
I know what you mean. I don't think it will though either. I think he's a good professional.
Now, possibly the best game of the week, or one of the most competitive anyway.
Yeah.
Salford versus Lee at Salford. Lee.
How many times have these two teams played each other?
This is the third time
It's
I've
every
played
week,
Lee.
Salford and
This is
Lee. It was the first game at season.
Yeah,
It was on
Lakey
last
3-2.
week. Did they play cup against? Oh no, was it with Magic?
Yes, they
Did
played.
they play each other in Magic as
So
well?
this is the fourth one
No, it's the third.
They've played at Lee, first game of the season.
because they had that.
One second, I've got the matches here. So the first game they played
Was against each other
was
first
at
game of
Lee.
the season. Round
First game of
one.
the season. They then played each other at. That's saying Lee, but that might have been Magic Weekend.
I'm sure they played at Lee twice.
I think they have an elite
Yeah.
fixture.
And then they played.
They didn't play at Magic.
No, they only played each other twice. So this is the
This
third
is the
game.
Third, oh no. Oh
This
no,
is the
because
third game.
they played Salford played okay, didn't they? Actually,
Yeah,
Magic
yeah.
Weekend,
Lee
didn't they?
played. Was it Hull FC?
So they played each other twice. This is the third time.
It's Salford have won both times.
Salford have won both times, but Lee are the form team. Matty, who are you going?
I'm going to go for Lee, but this is close.
At Salford.
I know.
Lewis?
Will Lee rest anyone?
Oh,
With
good
the
question.
cup
Good question.
being-
Good question.
When they're going to say final
They've
against
still not sent out the
Saints.
21-man squad.
No, because they don't have to because they're not playing on Friday. It's 2 days before, isn't it? They're
That's
playing
what I
on-
mean.
And
Yeah.
I'll go Salford because I'm going to go Salford on the premises that I think Lee are going to change the squad up a bit and maybe rest a couple for
Yeah.
the semi-final.
Yeah. Good.
I think if Lee play the full team, I think Lee will win it. But I think
Especially
they'll have
with-
an eye on the cup, so I think they might rest a
Because
couple.
this
so I'll go
game is the
Salford.
last one of the weekend, and then Lee's is the first semi-final.
Yeah.
So I get where you're coming from there. I think that might be, that might be a good shout actually.
I'll go with that.
Be interesting, that.
Who are you going for?
I'm still going to go Lee.
So I'm going to go Lee.
Well, that wraps it up. It's been a pleasure, lads. Thank
Always
you
a
for-
pleasure.
Yeah, not quite as long as last week.
No, not at all. No, this is a short one, Matty. I don't know what you're on about.
Well, it's not that short, but it's definitely
Shorter.
shorter. Yes,
Well-
shorter.
To keep it short, we'll wrap it up now. Thank you for listening and goodbye.